He wanted to live a quiet life of pure capitalism, but the universe decided to send the Empire's strongest executioner to delete him from existence. Reborn as a despised bastard noble with no system window and no mana, he was forced to fight with a broken sword against a legendary knight clad in indestructible Thanos steel. Everyone expected him to die instantly, but they forgot one thing: he didn't build his body with magic, he built it with modern science and pure rage. The name is the Wandering Knight, and this is just the beginning. The story kicks off on a mountain, a place the narration describes as a brutal spot where the weak get clapped and the strong reign supreme. We see our protagonist, let's call him our boy, trying to hunt a horned animal. His teacher, a veteran hunter, tells him to stay calm and fire, but the MC completely whiffs the shot. The prey escapes, and the instructor starts screaming in despair. He reminds the student that he was supposed to actually hit the target. Our boy just turns around with an awkward smile, and the teacher demands to know why he broke the bow instead of shooting properly. The MC nonchalantly says the bow snapped way too easily. The poor hunter starts crying, tears streaming down his face, complaining that he bought that thing brand new just a week ago. This guy is confused because his student is a noble. He asks why a rich kid insists on learning hunting when he could just learn swordsmanship like a normal aristocrat. My man hits him with some serious logic. He explains that swordsmanship does not make any money until you actually get hired as a guard or something. The teacher tries to argue, but our boy cuts him off. In his head, he admits the truth. He needs cold, hard cash to survive in this rotten world. Here is the backstory. The MC's birth name was King Johan. He died in an accident and got reincarnated into this medieval world. Being reborn as a noble sounds cool, but his current situation is trash. He figures if he is lucky, he won't get stripped naked and kicked out during his siblings' power struggles. Bro is stressed. Suddenly, the hunter stops him. He whispers that there is a pack of wolves nearby, eating something. The teacher tries to scare the beasts away, but our protagonist is just analyzing the graphics, noting that this world has a very realistic medieval theme. He looks at the leftovers of the wolf's meal and wonders if the victim was from their village. The older man says it is hard to tell, but the MC realizes one thing is certain: the weak are just XP for the strong. He clenches his fist and locks in. He decides that to avoid becoming Wolf Chow, he needs money. Then we get a hilarious flashback. When our boy first arrived in this world as a kid, he fully expected to have an OP cheat ability. Bro was literally crying, asking where his status window was, but he eventually realized no system exists here. So he changed his build. His new goal is just pure capitalism. Money is everything. Back in the present, the instructor interrupts his internal monologue to show him a medicinal herb called Little Devil Grass. He starts yapping about its stats excellent for stopping bleeding and boosting tenderness, but before he can finish, the greedy noble asks if it is expensive. The moment he hears it has value, my man pockets it and thanks the hunter for the cash. The teacher looks at him like, what is wrong with this kid? Just then, the instructor notices the MC drop something. It is a small bag. They realize a bag like this shouldn't be deep in the forest unless someone is in trouble. Suddenly, they hear a scream for help. They rush over and see a kid trapped on top of a tree branch, surrounded by a massive pack of hungry wolves. The hunter identifies the kid as Dale, the daughter of a local villager. The wolves turn their attention to our duo. The teacher starts panicking, acting like a total coward, saying there are too many enemies and they need to fall back and call for backup. But our boy? He just starts sprinting straight at the wolves. The instructor screams that it is too dangerous because these are man-eaters, but the MC tells him to chill. He says he will draw their aggro so the hunter can rescue the girl. The teacher is moved to tears, thinking his student is sacrificing himself to save a mere commoner. But he is totally misreading the situation. Bro is grinning like a maniac. He is not being a hero. He realized this place is a gold mine. He counts at least 10 wolves and calculates that if he sells all their pelts, he will make a fortune. He calls them his precious moneymakers. The MC tries to use his sword, but the teacher screams because his form is absolute garbage. A wolf lunges, and the kid parries, but his sword instantly shatters. The hunter watches in horror as his student gets mauled. Meanwhile, in a different part of the territory, the Lord, the MC's dad, and his other son Philip are doing an inspection. The stepmom is acting bougie, covering her nose at the smell. Philip, being a total rat, snitches that our boy is missing during the inspection. The dad is cold as ice, basically saying he doesn't care if his son dies somewhere. However, the dad notices something weird at the village entrance, a pile of straw covering some trees. A villager tries to hide it, saying it is just ugly traces of the young master's training, but the dad takes a closer look. He sees that the trees haven't been cut, they've been smashed by punches. The Lord is confused by this raw display of strength. Back to the fight. The wolf is trying to bite our protagonist, but it cannot even pierce his skin. Turns out, this guy's durability is maxed out. He realizes fighting with the sword isn't his style anyway. He tosses the broken sword handle aside and decides to use these hands. He tells the wolves to bring it on. Bro narrates that to get money, he needs strength that transcends human limitations. He starts absolutely obliterating the wolves with his bare fists. The teacher watches, terrified, shouting unbelievable as the kid one-shots the entire pack. Covered in wolf blood, the MC turns to the shocked hunter and asks the only question that matters. How much is all this worth? The narration reveals that our greedy protagonist did not just choose this grind, he was forced into it because life in this world is absolutely brutal. We get a flashback to his childhood, where his older brothers, let us call them Rank 2 and Rank 3, are bullying him mercilessly. Rank 2 calls the MC a motherless bastard, while Rank 3 just echoes everything like a mindless parrot, threatening to stomp our boy flat if he talks back. Naturally, the young noble realizes that nobody will care even if he gets beaten to death, so he decides to rely only on himself. But he has a secret weapon that these medieval chumps do not have: modern science. In his past life, my man was a student obsessed with exams, so he holds knowledge of sociology, nutrition, and exercise science. He starts scavenging for food that the villagers think is trash, like oats, beans, and quinoa eggs. An old lady asks why he is eating garbage, but the swole-to-be noble snaps back that these are superfoods perfect for a balanced diet. He creates a workout routine based on modern physiology, and after years of suffering and grinding, his body transforms into a masterpiece of muscle. Bro is literally flexing and feeling refreshed after a workout. Back in the present, the gym rat looks around and confirms he has wiped out the entire wolf pack. The hunter checks on the trapped kid, thanking the gods that she is safe. Then, the teacher turns to our boy and starts giving a heartfelt speech, tears streaming down his face. He praises the student for his reckless bravery, believing that the noble sacrificed his safety just to save a villager. But once again, the old man is completely delusional. While he is giving this emotional tribute, the capitalist is standing there holding 2 dead wolves, laughing like a maniac while trying to calculate which corpse will sell for a higher price. He barely hears the hunter's praise because he is too busy counting imaginary coins. The MC asks the girl if she is okay, and she thanks him. But then she points behind him with a terrified expression. Our duo turns around to see a massive beast looming over them. The hunter immediately loses his composure, screaming that it is a monster and that they need an entire army to fight it. Our boy is annoyed because he thought this was a realistic low-magic world, but apparently monsters exist here too. Instead of running, he smiles creepily and asks the giant wolf if it is the leader. He apologizes to the beast, not for killing its pack, but because wolf pelt sells for a high price and he had to secure the goods. The monster lunges to bite him, but the agile noble dodges easily. He grabs a handful of grass and dirt and shouts that the boss monster's hide will sell for even more money. He throws the debris, managing to scratch the wolf's eye. But instead of celebrating the critical hit, my man panics because a scratched hide means the market value just dropped. Suddenly, the wolf lets out a roar that acts like a fierce skill. The MC feels his strength draining away and realizes something is wrong. The scene fades, and he wakes up later, confused. He sees that the hunter and the girl are sleeping safely nearby. He realizes they survived, but he is devastated that he could not harvest the pelts. He carries both the teacher and the girl on his shoulders like a beast of burden and heads back to the village. As he arrives, he starts daydreaming. He thinks that even if he missed the inspection, his dad might be impressed that he saved a villager and killed a monster. He imagines his father naming him the successor, or at least giving him a job as a guard so he can finally afford decent food. But reality hits him hard. His older brother Philip is waiting for him on a horse, looking down on him. This guy, who is the main bully in the flashback, screams at our boy for disappearing during the important inspection. The MC tries to explain that he had unavoidable circumstances, but his dad cuts him off. The Lord looks at him with cold eyes and threatens to crack his head open if he dares to make excuses. So much for a hero's welcome. The situation at the village entrance is looking grim. Our boy is standing there, sweating bullets, thinking that he barely made it back alive from a boss fight, only to deal with this family drama. He is annoyed that he did not even get to loot the wolf pelts, so his bank account is still sitting at 0. Life is hard for a reincarnated noble, but my man refuses to give up. He puts on his best customer service smile and decides to spin the narrative. He tells his angry father that he was not skipping the inspection on purpose. He claims he was late because he was too busy saving lives in the forest. Just then, the father of the rescued girl rushes in, crying tears of joy. He confirms the story, thanking the gods that his daughter is safe. The MC sees his chance and locks in. He explains that he was surrounded by man-eating wolves and even a monster, but he fought them off to save the child. He humbly apologizes for missing the inspection, but claims he did his duty as a protector of the people. Then he hits them with the upsell. He asks his dad to forgive him, and while he is at it, to give him the position of guard captain. Bro really tried to turn a scolding into a job interview. He thinks he nailed it, imagining that if he were the interviewer, he would hire himself on the spot. But the Lord is not buying it. He asks where the proof is. He wants to see these dead wolves. Our protagonist starts panic sweating internally because, obviously, he left the loot behind. He insists he is not lying and even mentions the giant black wolf. But the dad just gets angrier. The toxic father screams for silence, threatening to rip our boy's mouth open if he keeps lying. Then the old man decides to escalate things. He challenges his own son to a duel to prove his skills. The MC coughs awkwardly, thinking that fighting his dad is a lose-lose situation, but he has no choice. The Lord grins and tells him to draw his sword. The problem is, our boy does not even have a sword because he's broken the forest. He turns to his snitch of a brother, Philip, and demands to borrow his weapon. Philip hands it over, but whispers that the MC should just beg for forgiveness on his knees to survive. Our boy looks at him with disgust and refuses, saying a real man does not run away. He pushes his brother aside, thinking he might actually learn something from this fight. The Lord puts on his helmet, and suddenly, the vibe changes. The MC sees a dark, ominous aura exploding from his father. He realizes this is not just a drunk old man. This is a raid boss. The fight starts, and it is not even close. The dad attacks with terrifying speed. He blocks the MC's strike and shatters the borrowed sword into pieces instantly. The Lord goes into a frenzy, screaming about how the estate belongs only to him. He yells that no one, not even the Emperor, can take it from him. Our protagonist is dodging for his life, realizing his dad has completely lost his mind. The crowd watches in horror, thinking the Lord is actually trying to kill his son. The dad swings a massive axe aimed right at our boy's head. The MC barely blocks it with the broken hilt of his sword, but the force sends him flying. He admits defeat, but the father stands over him, looking like a demon. He warns the MC to know his place and threatens to smash his head in next time. Then, the crazy old man just walks away, leaving his son in the dirt. Later, we see our battered hero getting treated by the village priest. The priest is furious, ranting that a knight should have honor, and that attacking his own son in full armor is madness. Our boy just laughs it off, happy to be alive. He realizes that while his body is strong, his lack of weapon skills is a fatal weakness. The priest tries to comfort him, mentioning that the Lord is a veteran of many wars. He compares him to a guy in the next estate, a lord named Bridge, who supposedly killed 300 soldiers on his own. Our boy is impressed by that stat count. Then, the MC casually mentions the black wolf he saw in the forest. The priest freezes. He looks at our boy like he is seeing a ghost. He explains that black wolves are a taboo omen, a sign of death and blood according to ancient legends. Our capitalist hero says he does not believe in superstitions, but he admits the timing is suspicious. The priest reassures him that God is protecting him because he is a good person. The MC just thinks to himself that he is not a good person. He just wants money. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to the neighboring estate, the one owned by that strong Lord Bridge. But it is a massacre. The place is burning, and bodies are everywhere. We see a group of knights and mercenaries walking through the carnage. One of them reports to their leader, a terrifying knight named Sir Karama. They hand him the signet ring of Lord Bridge. The leader scoffs, saying he had high expectations for the guy who killed 300 soldiers, but Bridge didn't even last 2 attacks against him. He calls the dead Lord weak. This villain reveals he is the sword of the Holy Empire, sent to punish corrupt nobles. He declares that anyone who opposes the Emperor will be destroyed. Then he drops the bombshell. His next target is the 8th estate. The MC's home is next on the hit list. We shift scene to our boy getting cooked by this Karamov. He is headshot on the spot, and just like that, he wakes up in a cold sweat, looking like he just ran a marathon in his sleep. He has been having the same nightmare for days, a vision of that giant black wolf and a gruesome death. He remembers the priest saying the wolf is a sign of death, a bad omen from ancient legends. But the capitalist knight refuses to believe in ghosts. He tries to brush it off as superstition, telling himself it is just stress. However, he starts panicking when he remembers that he threw a rock at the wolf's eye, and it was a pretty big rock. He realizes if karma is real, he is in big trouble. But he decides to ignore the existential dread and go do what he does best: lift weights. We cut to the forest where the gym rat is punching trees to blow off steam. Suddenly, his training is interrupted by the arrival of the 2 trash-tier brothers, Rank 2 and Rank 3. These guys just never learn. Rank 2 starts yapping, asking if the MC forgot their dad's warning to stay invisible. Rank 3, who apparently lacks a brain of his own, just echoes him like a broken NPC. They start mocking our boy, calling him a dog and saying that breaking logs doesn't make him a real noble. They laugh, claiming that their father would never give a job to a low-born scrub like him. At best, he would be pig-feet. Our protagonist doesn't say a word. He just winds up and absolutely deletes a massive tree with a single punch. The tree shatters like a toothpick. The 2 bullies stop laughing instantly. Their eyes literally pop out of their heads. The swole noble turns to them, flexes his traps, and asks if they said something. He invites them to come a little closer so they can play. Immediate panic ensues. The 2 cowards turn around and sprint away, screaming that they are going to tell their daddy. The MC watches them run, thinking about how pathetic they are. They have no survival skills, no money, and no brain cells. He decides they aren't even worth the calories it would take to beat them up. Suddenly, the other brother, Philip, walks out from the shadows. This is the smart one, or at least the sneaky one. He tells the muscle-brain noble that their dad has no intention of ever giving him a job. Philip drops some serious lore. He explains that the Lord actually fears the MC. Apparently, the dad overthrew his own father to get the throne, and he sees the MC's raw strength and rebellious attitude as a threat to his power. He thinks the MC is coming for his crown. Our boy laughs, calling it nonsense. But Philip is here to make a business deal. He snaps his fingers, and a butler brings out the goods. It is a set of plated armor and a longsword. Philip admits he is not stupid like their father. He doesn't want to throw away a useful tool. He offers a partnership. When Philip becomes the Lord, he promises to appoint the MC as the captain of the guard. Until then, he just wants our boy to train and stay out of trouble. As Philip walks away, the greedy noble looks at the loot. He realizes the armor looks exactly like the one he wore in his nightmare where he died. He wonders if equipping this gear will seal his fate. But then he looks at the stats and the shine of the metal and thinks, whatever. He decides that with enough defense, he can overcome any curse. Bro gears up and looks absolutely dripped out. The scene shifts to a local tavern. The villagers are getting wasted and gossiping. They are glazing our boy hard, telling stories about how he fought 50 wolves to save a child. They call him a true knight, contrasting him with his father, whom they call a drunken pig. One villager even says the MC should have just cut the Lord's head off during their duel. They really hate the dad here. Sitting in the corner is a mysterious hooded figure. The villagers offer him a drink, boasting about Sir Johann. The stranger grins under his hood. He says he finds the story of this strong, noble son very interesting. Back outside, the newly armored NC is walking home, feeling fantastic. He is thinking about his golden future as a government employee with a steady salary. He spots a man lying on the ground in a dark alley. Thinking it is just another drunk villager, our boy activates his future guard captain mode. He approaches to help, worried the guy might catch a cold. He asks where the man lives so he can escort him home. Big mistake. The moment he gets close, the drunk man vanishes. Before the MC can process the lag, the hooded figure is behind him with a dagger pressed against his throat. Our boy freezes, realizing his customer service attitude just walked him straight into an assassination attempt. The cliffhanger leaves us wondering if that new armor is going to save him or if the nightmare is starting right now. The situation in the dark alley is tense. The hooded figure has a knife pressed against our boy's throat. The MC is sweating bullets, his mind racing to figure out who sent this assassin. He wonders if it is his father Jensen, but realizes the old man would just kill him personally. He suspects his stepmother or even his brother Philip, but he cannot be sure. Desperate to survive, the broke noble tries to negotiate. He asks the attacker what he wants and offers to give him everything he has in exchange for his life. But then, in true broke fashion, he admits he does not actually have a single coin to his name. The stranger scoffs, saying he has more than enough money. Our protagonist is confused. If it is not a robbery, then what is the point? The hooded man reveals he just wants to ask a question. He warns that if the answer is not to his liking, he will slit the NC's throat right there. Bro starts panicking. He feels like he is back in his past life, sitting in a high-pressure corporate interview where one wrong word means game over. He logs in, ready to give the perfect PR answer. The attacker asks a weird question. He notes that our boy has an incredible physique, which is hard to believe for the son of a drunkard like Jensen. He asks if the MC is truly the son of that pig. The MC hesitates, realizing his life hangs in the balance. He decides to go with the savage metaphor. He looks the man in the eye and says that a lion can be born even from a pig's bloodline. For a second, there is silence. Our boy thinks he messed up and prepares to die. But suddenly, the hooded figure bursts into maniacal laughter. He loves the answer. The MC sighs in relief and asks to be released, but the stranger refuses. He tells the young noble that he now belongs to him. The narration drops some heavy lore here. This creepy guy is actually Kaigel, the guildmaster of the Niso's guild and the greatest assassin in the empire. He is known as the Venom Serpent because his movements are as deadly as a snake. But this guy has a problem. He cannot find a successor to inherit his skills. Every candidate he found was either a worthless insect or obsessed with useless things like honor. In fact, Kaito got so annoyed by noble heirs refusing to learn assassin arts that he killed 30 of them just for being too proud. This guy has zero chill. Desperate, he visited a witch who told him that his disciple was hiding in the 8th estate, the son of the lecherous lord. Kaigel paid a whole gold coin for that tip, so he is here to collect his investment. He admits that if our boy turns out to be a disappointment, he will kill him on the spot. Back in the alley, the assassin master introduces himself and gives the MC a binary choice: die right now or learn his swordsmanship. Most knights would hesitate, but our capitalist hero has only one question. He asks how much he has to pay to learn these skills. Tunkel is frustrated and explains that he is not accepting money. He is teaching for free. The moment our boy hears the word free, his eyes turn into dollar signs. He realizes he just hit the jackpot, a top-tier master teaching him for zero cost. He gets visibly excited, literally seeing stars, and asks the master what took him so long. The venom serpent tries to warn him. He explains that these are assassin techniques. Learning them will brand him as a disgrace to his knightly family and ruin his reputation forever. But our boy does not care about reputation. He shouts that he has no use for honor or shame and begs to be taught. Then, he pushes his luck even further. He asks that since the master has plenty of money, maybe he could give him a weekly allowance because he is a growing boy who needs spending cash. The assassin looks at him, baffled, realizing this kid is a completely different breed of shameless. The scene briefly shifts to the castle. The toxic father, Lord Jensen, is heading out for a trip. The family drama continues as the stepmother and the older brother, Philip, glare at each other, fighting over who will control the castle in his absence. Philip tries to bring up the fact that Johann is still missing, but the dad cuts him off. He says he does not care about that weakling and that his death is of no concern. Talk about fatherly love. Meanwhile, back in the forest, the training begins. Cage wants to test the MC's current level. Our boy asks to borrow a sword because he tends to break them. The master hands him one but thinks to himself that this kid looks like an amateur. He decides that if the boy's skills are trash, he will just kill him and cut his losses. The MC takes a weird stance, confirming the master's suspicions that he has no formal training. Then our boy asks a crucial question. He asks if he has to use swordsmanship or if he can fight however he wants. Kegel, expecting a joke, tells him to use fists, rocks, blades, or whatever he likes. Our protagonist grins. He says, "Then I will use this." Suddenly, the MC unleashes a punch straight at the blade. A loud metal snap echoes through the forest. The assassin master watches in shock as his steel sword is shattered by a bare fist. In that moment, Kegel realizes his doubts were wrong. This isn't just a noble brat. He has found a monster. As the dust settles from that massive punch, the assassin master is internally screaming. He realizes that the shockwave alone was enough to rattle his bones. He thinks to himself that if that fist had actually connected, he would have been turned into meat paste instantly. He looks at his new disciple and realizes this is not a human. He is training a lion in human skin. But the venom serpent decides to stop playing nice. He starts moving like a glitched NPC, sliding around with unpredictable snake-like movements. Our boy is confused, trying to track him, but before he can process the lag, he gets smacked right in the face with the flat of the blade. The blow sends him flying, but because his durability stats are maxed out, he does not even faint. The master is impressed, thinking that if this kid was born 1,000 years ago, he would have been a legendary hero. However, the teacher points out a fatal flaw. Bro is too strong for his own good. He warns the MC that his lack of control is going to get him killed because his own power will backfire. Our protagonist dismisses it, saying he is not stupid enough to punch himself. So, Kegel decides to make things interesting. He hands the muscle brain a new sword and proposes a bet. If the MC can break the master's sword without shattering his own weapon, Kegel will give him a pile of gold coins. The moment the word gold is spoken, our capitalist hero locks in. His eyes literally turn into dollar signs. He demands the master keep that promise and launches an attack with full force. He tries to replicate the fight with his father, swinging with everything he has. But just like before, his weapon explodes like a grenade against the master's defense. Shrapnel from the broken blade flies everywhere, cutting the MC's arm. Bro is frustrated, realizing he lost the money. He asks if the master dodged the fragments that were aiming for his heart on purpose. Kegel admits it was child's play. Our boy finally understands the lesson. If he wants to survive and become a government employee with a steady salary, he needs to learn recoil control. The master then decides to flex. He picks up a scrap of broken metal and slices through a piece of plate armor like it is made of butter. He explains that if you control your power, even a piece of junk can be deadly. He gives a maniacal grin and tells the MC that the real training starts now, and it might actually kill him. Our boy, blinded by the potential gains, shouts "Yes, master," with zero hesitation. Later, we see our gym rat stumbling through the streets, looking absolutely beaten. He feels like a human punching bag. But his pity party is interrupted when he spots some elves guarding the castle gate. He walks up to them, asking why they are loitering there. The elves are rude as hell, telling him to get lost. They reveal they are the wolves of Aquitaine, the emperor's personal mercenary corps. Our boy ignores their attitude because he hears the word mercenary. He immediately asks the only question that matters. How's the pay? The elves laugh and tell him that one job pays 2 gold coins. Bro's brain short circuits. He starts doing the math. 2 gold coins is life-changing money. He realizes that a guard captain salary is peanuts compared to this. He starts seriously considering a career change right there on the spot. But suddenly the vibe changes. The The terrifying knight from the previous chapter, the one from the nightmare, walks up to the group. The moment our boy sees him, his survival instinct kicks in so hard that he almost draws his sword. The mercenaries start yapping, threatening to cut his head off for being disrespectful to their leader. The knight raises his hand to stop them. He introduces himself as Karama, an imperial guard directly under the emperor. He looks at our protagonist like he is a bug and tells him to move because he is in the way. As the squad leaves, an elf girl asks Karama if it was okay to let the rude brat go. Karama says he does not want to cause a scene yet. Left alone, the MC is trembling. He realizes that for the first time, he did not reach for his sword out of bravery. He reached for it out of pure terror. He feels like a prey standing in front of an apex predator, and he knows that if he stays in this village, things are about to get very ugly. We cut to the castle entrance where the older brother, Philip, is screaming his lungs out. He is frantically trying to welcome the Imperial Knight, asking why such a distinguished person is visiting their trashier village. He introduces himself as the heir, desperate for validation. But nobody cares about Philip because the stepmother is on a whole other level of thirsty. She is practically drooling over the knight, calling him a once-in-a-lifetime handsome man. She is glazing him so hard it is embarrassing. She introduces Philip as her son, but then immediately pivots to flirting, saying if she knew such a hunk was coming, she would have married later. She is down bad. The knight, Karama, completely ignores her thirst trap. He walks right past them, enters the hall, and sits on the Lord's throne like he owns the place. He takes off his helmet and coldly asks where Lord Jensen is. Philip, trying to act tough, scolds the knight for being disrespectful to his father. But the stepmother shuts him down instantly. She says Karama is the Empire's top knight, so he can do whatever he wants. She declares that she will handle the reception personally, obviously hoping for some private time. Philip is furious, realizing his mom is trying to replace his dad with a younger, stronger model to secure her power. But Karama has zero interest in this family drama. He tells everyone to shut up and get out. He demands no more words, just alcohol. He decides to wait in the castle until the target, Lord Jensen, arrives. The scene shifts to the evening in the forest. Our boy is sparring with his master, but his head is not in the game. He is distracted, thinking about the terrifying aura of the Imperial Knight. Suddenly, the master slashes him, cutting his neck slightly. The assassin warns him that if the blade had poison, our boy would be dead already. He demands focus. The MC explains that he is worried about the Imperial Knights closing the gates. It feels suspicious. The master drops some heavy lore. He confirms that Karama is the continent's strongest warrior and the core of the Empire's military. Even his armor is legendary. The master admits that if he had to face Karama, he would run away without looking back. Our protagonist is shocked. His teacher, the deadly assassin, is admitting fear. The master pats him on the head and tells him to know his limits. He reminds the MC that he cannot even control his own strength yet, so worrying about an Imperial Knight is pointless. Our boy locks in. He decides to focus on the training. He stops swinging blindly and starts visualizing the flow of power, concentrating everything at the tip of the sword. He swings. A sharp sound echoes. The master is forced to block seriously. We see the assassin's sword get cut. Our boy starts celebrating, shouting that he finally did it. The master stands there in silence, completely shocked. He realizes it wasn't a coincidence. He only told the kid to control his strength, yet our boy effortlessly used the advanced snake technique. The assassin realizes that unless luck intervenes, this kid has already surpassed him in potential. He admits to himself that he has created a monster, but he keeps his cool face on. He tells the MC that the instruction is over, and he will leave at sunrise. Our capitalist hero is devastated. He just got the hang of it, and now his free subscription is expiring? He asks why the master is leaving so soon. The assassin explains that the MC has already absorbed everything. He has nothing left to teach. They sit by campfire for one last chat. Our boy asks about the red blush, the black wolf omen. He mentions he had a dream about getting decapitated after seeing the wolf. The master gives him some final advice. He tells him to find a weapon made of Thanos. Yes, the metal is actually named Thanos. He explains it is a legendary material found in ancient ruins, and weapons made from it are incredibly rare. Our boy, hearing the word rare, immediately assumes it is expensive. The master confirms that money cannot even buy it. He advises the MC to get a weapon that can handle his massive strength, or he will keep fighting with broken scraps. Then, the master gives his golden rule for survival. Don't fight someone you cannot beat. If you are in danger, run. If you must fight, use any means necessary to kill. With that, the assassin disappears into the night, leaving our boy alone with his thoughts. Meanwhile, back at the castle, the stepmother is still trying to shoot her shot. She brings wine to Karama, who is chugging straight from the bottle. He calls the wine rotten urine and throws the bottle away. The stepmother, undeterred by the rejection, suggests they move to the bedroom. She says the better wine is in Lord Jensen's room and that it is very comfortable. She is practically throwing herself at him, suggesting they spend some pleasant time together. Karima tells her to go away, but she keeps pushing, saying they don't have much time before her husband gets back. That was the wrong move. Karima sighs. He says the tedious wait is finally over. He decides to start his amusement early. He declares it is time for a killing spree. In a split second, he draws his blade. The stepmother doesn't even have time to scream before she gets decapitated. Philip watches in horror as his mother is silenced forever. The scene cuts back to our boy in the forest. He looks towards the village and sees a massive fire raging. The entire estate is burning. The survival horror has begun. Meanwhile, his father, Lord Jensen, finally returns from his trip. His guards tell him the fire looks serious, but the Lord is confused because the castle gates are wide open. He rides in, demanding to know why the security is so lax. Suddenly, the eerie mercenaries appear. One of them mocks the Lord, saying he is slow and calling him Sir Pig. The mercenary warns him that their leader is not a patient man. Jensen enters the courtyard and sees a massacre. Bodies are everywhere. He finds the Imperial Knight, Karima, waiting for him. Karima coolly tells him he is late. The Lord puts his hand on his axe, shouting and demanding an explanation. But Karima cuts straight to the chase. He accuses Jensen of high treason and attempted assassination of the Emperor. He declares that by the Emperor's decree, House 8 is to be eradicated. Jensen shouts that it is absurd and tries to fight back, screaming that this is just a political purge. He charges at Karima, but it is pathetic. The Imperial Knight doesn't even break a sweat. He orders his troops to blow the horn and wipe the territory off the map. He wants everyone dead. We cut to the village, where the slaughter is happening. A mercenary has cornered the priest, Father Valberg. The soldier calls the priest a vicious bastard and puts a sword to his neck, demanding to know where the bastard's son is hiding. Just as the mercenary prepares to send the priest to meet his god, a blade slashes through him from behind. Our boy has arrived. He cuts the enemy down without hesitation. The priest is in shock, shouting Lord Johann. Our protagonist asks what is happening. The priest explains that the Imperial troops are killing everyone on sight and that Lord Jensen is likely already dead. They are burning the entire village to the ground. Our boy looks around and realizes the gravity of the situation. He knows he needs to retreat to the castle, but then he hears a familiar voice. It is Dale, the little kid he saved from the wolves. She is crying over the body of her father. Our boy freezes. He looks at the dead villager and remembers the man thanking him just a few days ago. He looks around at the burning homes and the slaughtered people. These were the people who praised him, the people who lived in his territory. For the first time, his mind isn't on money. He is furious. He tells the priest to take the girl and hide. The priest begs him to flee, saying he cannot win, but our boy ignores him and heads straight for the castle. When he arrives, the scene is brutal. He sees a notice posted on a pike. It says Duke Jensen has been executed for treason, and right above it, the severed head of his father is displayed for all to see. A group of mercenaries spots our boy. They recognize him as the bastard son. They laugh, asking if he came back to die. They call him a rat and tell each other to kill him quickly. But they have no idea who they are messing with. Our boy steps on the Imperial flag, disrespecting their entire faction. He draws his sword and slashes through them like they are made of paper. He kills them with cold efficiency, not even pausing to taunt them. As he stands amidst the bodies, he questions himself. He thinks he should be running away. If he goes inside, he dies for no reason. This isn't a profitable transaction. But then, he hears a weak voice calling his name. He looks down and sees his brother Philip, lying in a pool of blood. Philip is barely alive. For once, the snitch brother isn't being a jerk. He asks why the MC came back and tells him to run. He says if he stays, he will die. Then, Philip hands him something. It is the Lord's helmet, the symbol of the family head. Philip tells him to take it for the day he becomes the Lord. Then he takes his last breath. The narration kicks in, reminding us of the Master's rule. If the enemy is too strong, run. But our boy stands there, holding the helmet. He knows the opponent is the strongest knight in the Empire. Even his master said he would run away. But the gym rat has made his choice. He remembers the second part of the rule. If you have to fight, you must kill. He puts on the helmet. It fits perfectly. He decides that today he is not running. He kicks the castle gates open with a massive boom. The mercenaries inside panic, shouting about how a single intruder got past the guards. Our boy doesn't waste time. He punches a mercenary, so hard the guy goes flying across the courtyard. He shouts for the boss to come out. Karima steps forward, looking annoyed. He recognizes the MC as the runaway son from earlier. He asks if our boy has a death wish. Our protagonist stares him down. Karima mocks him, saying he could have lived if he kept running. He assumes the kid is just another noble idiot throwing his life away. But our boy isn't here for honor. He is here for payback. He tells the Imperial Knight that he is not in the mood to exchange names. He calls him a piece of trash and prepares to throw hands. The final boss fight is on. The duel begins, and immediately we see the difference in gear score. The Imperial Knight is wielding a purple glowing blade that looks incredibly expensive. They clash, and our boy's sword snaps like a twig. The gym rat is forced to grab another sword from the ground, but that one breaks too. He is burning through weapons faster than his bank account burns through coins. The knight Karama is actually having a good time. He thinks this is fun, noting that the MC is way more entertaining than Lord Bridge ever was. He decides to play with his food, thinking he is the apex predator. But suddenly, the capitalist noble lands a hit. He slashes right across the knight's arm. Karama freezes. He looks at his armor and sees a deep cut. He starts trembling, not from pain, but from sheer confusion. He thinks, did he just cut through my Thanos steel? Yes, the metal is actually called Thanos. And apparently, humans are not supposed to be able to scratch it. Karama is shook, realizing that this random village boy has strength that defies the laws of physics. But the knight tries to cope. He convinces himself that the MC is just a brute swinging blindly with zero technique. He thinks our boy is fighting on pure instinct, like a wild animal. He decides to end the game quickly before his precious helmet gets scratched. He shouts for the brat to come at him. He expects a clumsy strike, but he is about to get a reality check. The MC doesn't just swing. He uses the move he learned from his master, the snake technique. The blade moves with a weird, unpredictable rhythm. Karama tries to block, but he has no idea where the attack is coming from. Slash. He gets cut. Then, before he can process the lag, he gets punched right in the face. The knight hits the floor hard. He is bleeding and confused. He finally realizes whose technique that was. It's the Assassin Guildmaster style. He realizes he has been played. The MC was hiding his true power level the whole time. Our boy stands over the defeated boss, takes off his helmet, and asks the million-dollar question. Why did you do all this? Karama, spitting blood, gives a typical villain speech. He claims it was all for the Emperor. He says the Empire is unstable, and they needed to purge the traitors to correct the world. But then, he starts laughing like a maniac. He looks at our protagonist with greedy eyes and makes an offer. He tells the MC to come with him to the capital. He promises everything. Endless gold. Vast, fertile lands. Glory. He says the Emperor himself will appoint the MC as an Imperial Knight. This is the moment of truth. Our boy hears the words, endless gold. This is literally his dream. It is the life he fantasized about, the safety, the riches, the status. But strangely, he feels nothing. He looks at the offer of a lifetime, and he feels dead inside. He realizes that taking this money means shaking the hand of the man who butchered his neighbors. He looks the knight in the eye and refuses. Karama loses his mind. He screams, asking why the MC would reject such an offer for the sake of serfs. He insults the MC's mother, calling her lowborn. He shouts that the weak exist only to feed the strong, and that serfs are just insects whose deaths don't matter. That was the last straw. Our boy thinks to himself, sorry master, I can't control my strength today. He winds up a punch that has all his rage behind it. He shouts that Karama's justice is worthless lies. He asks what gives this armor jerk the right to decide who lives and who dies. And then, he unleashes the beatdown of the century. He punches the knight so hard that the Thanos armor probably dents. He is not fighting for profit anymore. He's fighting for the people who couldn't fight back. He leaves the Imperial Knight broken on the ground. As the MC walks away, Karama screams one last threat. He warns that the one who broke the Emperor's sword will know only suffering from now on. But our boy doesn't look back. The narration tells us that his philosophy used to be purely about money to survive. But after seeing his family and his people slaughtered, something changed. Even if the entire world becomes his enemy, he has no regrets. He did what had to be done. And just like that, the greedy noble chose the hard path of vengeance over the easy path of gold. The scene shifts to the castle gates, where the mood is absolute panic. Karama's apprentice, a blonde elf girl named Jane, is interrogating a survivor. She looks terrified, realizing her easy gig as a squire just turned into a nightmare. She demands to know if the report is true. The mercenary is trembling, swearing on his life. He explains that the MC beat the soldiers to a pulp and then, with his bare hands, took Sir Karama's head. The elf girl is in denial. She cannot believe that a random noble kid just deleted the Empire's strongest knight, but she realizes she has to act. She orders a full-scale manhunt. She declares our boy a traitor to his bloodline and the murderer of an Imperial Knight. She tells the troops to bring back the MC's head no matter what. Then, she gives a terrifying warning. She tells the soldiers not to engage the MC one-on-one. She explains that the target can tear through steel with his bare hands. She orders them to treat this hunt like they are hunting a dragon, not a human. We cut to the fugitive noble, running through the woods. And he is doing something insane. He is carrying Karama's dead body on his back. Bro is literally hauling the boss he just killed like a backpack. He has arrows stuck in his back, but he is still moving. He realizes that carrying the corpse was a genius move because the Thanos armor on the dead body is blocking the arrows. Even in death, the villain is being useful as a meat shield. Our boy remembers his brother Philip's last words. Philip told him about a secret stable northwest of the hunting grounds. The MC pushes through the exhaustion and finds it. Inside, he sees a massive white beast. It is his father's warhorse. The horse is huge, muscular, and looks mean. Our boy pats the animal and decides to give it a name. In a moment of genuine brotherly love, he names the horse Philip. But the sentimental moment is cut short. One of the mercenaries spots a glowing light in the forest. It is the shine of the Thanos steel armor. The enemy shouts that they found a target. Arrows start flying again. The mercenaries scream to shoot the horse, but our boy is too fast. He rides Philip the horse, not the brother like a pro. The narration tells us he rides all night, using the dark forest and the dead body's armor to survive the onslaught. Finally, he arrives deep in the black forest. He realizes he has shaken them off for now. But he has a problem. He cannot carry a dead body forever. He looks at the expensive armor with regret. He knows burying it is a waste of money, but he has no choice. He strips the corpse and buries the armor, promising to come back for it later. It is like he is making a savings deposit in the ground. However, he decides to keep the sword. He inspects it. It is light, solid, and made of that legendary metal. There is an inscription on the blade that reads, "I am the one who recovers Crest." Our boy thinks the name Crust Recoverer sounds ominous, like it is his natural enemy. But a weapon is a weapon, so he takes it. Now, the reality hits him. He is sitting in a dark forest, exhausted, with his arms trembling. He thinks about his situation. His home is burned. His family is dead. And worst of all, it does not have a single coin in his pocket. He is officially homeless and broke. He tries to rest, but the universe decides to prank him one last time. He feels a terrifying presence. He looks up and sees two glowing eyes in the dark. It is the giant black wolf, the boss monster from the beginning. Our boy curses his luck. He thinks this is it. He is too weak to lift his sword, and his stamina is 0. He tries to get to his horse, but then he hears shouting from the other side. The mercenaries have caught up. They spot him and scream that they have cornered the rat. The MC is trapped. A monster in front of him and an army behind him. He thinks it is game over. But then something miraculous happens. The black wolf ignores him. The beast jumps right over our boy's head and lands in the middle of the mercenary squad. The soldiers panic. They scream for their lives as the wolf starts tearing them apart like wet tissue paper. It is a massacre. Our boy is confused. He wonders if the wolf missed him, but he realizes he just got the ultimate assist. He decides not to question the plot armor and jumps on his horse. As he gallops away, he looks back. He sees his burning village in the distance. He remembers the priest, the villagers, his brother, and his master's teachings. He bids farewell to the 8th estate, leaving his past behind. In the final shot, the black wolf stands amidst the defeated mercenaries, watching our boy leave. It almost looks like the monster is nodding at him, acknowledging a fellow predator. The prologue is over. The real story of the greedy knight begins now. The wolves of Aquitaine have set up a massive checkpoint, completely blocking the road ahead. Our boy is hiding in the bushes, watching them like a hawk, and he realizes he is absolutely screwed. He's been on the run for 3 days straight without proper sleep or food. He's exhausted, starving, and his stamina bar is flashing red. He's lost count of how many times he almost died fending off pursuit squads in the woods. He barely has the strength to lift his sword anymore. He wonders if this is how it ends, caught by some pointy-eared NPCs and executed on the side of the road. But just as despair sets in, the gacha gods smile upon him. He spots a trade wagon approaching. It's a caravan heavily guarded by armed escorts. Our capitalist hero immediately formulates a plan. He decides to disguise himself as a peddler. If he can blend in with the merchants, he can bypass the checkpoint without having to fight an entire platoon while running on 0 calories. The caravan belongs to the Katana Trading Company, which is a pretty aggressive name for a merchant guild, but we roll with it. The leader is a beastman, specifically a catfolk named Aldens. As the MC approaches on his stolen warhorse, the caravan's hired guards start panicking. One rookie sees him and yells to prepare for battle. He asks why everyone is freaking out over one guy on a horse. He thinks the 9 of them can just jump him. But the veteran mercenary shuts him down instantly. This guy actually has high perception stats. He points out that the Wanderer is riding a high-tier warhorse and is decked out in full plate armor, including a breastplate and helm. Then the veteran spots the real danger. He points to the sword hanging at the MC's waist. He recognizes the purple shimmer of the hilt and realizes it is forged from Thanos steel. He explains that if the MC swings that thing, their cheap armor will slice like butter. He warns the rookies that if they clash head-on, they will get squad wiped in seconds. The rookie thinks he's exaggerating, but the veteran calls him a dumbass and tells him to shut up before he gets them all killed. The Catman merchant, Aldens, takes charge. He tells his men to chill but keep their hands on their weapons. He says he will go check the situation first, but if he gives the signal, they should jump the MC instantly. Aldens walks up to our boy, and the tension is high. The mercenaries are whispering plans to knock the MC off his horse and stab the gaps in his armor. Eldrins puts on his best business face and asks for the stranger's name to avoid any unnecessary misunderstandings. Our boy realizes he is being scanned. He notes that Eldens is a catfolk and that the guards are ready to kill him. He knows he needs to pass a speech check immediately. He drops the "I'm just a victim" act. He introduces himself as Johann and claims he looks like a mess because he was attacked by bandits earlier. He politely asks them to tell the guys in the back to stop aiming at him. Eldridge apologizes, blaming the harsh world for his caution. Our boy plays along, saying he understands completely. Then he makes his pitch. He explains that the bandits stole all his travel funds, so he is broke. He offers a trade. If the caravan provides food and a place to sleep, he will work as a guard for free. Aldens does a quick risk assessment. He sees that the MC is clearly built different and doesn't seem hostile. He agrees to the deal. He mentions they are heading to Marseille, which is a long trip, and tells the MC to go mingle with the other mercenaries. Our boy sighs in relief, thinking he nailed the interview. However, the Catman is shrewd. When he gets back to his men, one of the guards asks what is going on. Eldon says they are traveling together, but he whispers a dark order. He tells the guards to keep a close eye on the newcomer. If he does anything suspicious, they are to execute him immediately. Our boy thinks he found a safety net, but he is actually sleeping in a lion's den. The convoy finally reaches the dreaded checkpoint. The elf mercenaries, the wolves of Aquitaine, block the road. They demand a full inspection. Our boy starts sweating under his helmet. He hopes he can slide by without drawing aggro. Eldon steps up. He name-drops the Katana Trading Company and demands to speak to the manager. We learn that this company is based in Marseille, a commercial hub so powerful that even the Emperor has to tread carefully there. But the elf guard doesn't care about corporate politics. He laughs and says he is just following orders to find a runaway trader. He insists on the search. Our boy thinks, great, they set this whole roadblock up just for me. Then the worst-case scenario happens. An elf points directly at the MC and orders him to take off his helmet. Bro panics. He lies, saying he has a terrible skin condition on his face. The elf decides to be absolutely toxic. He laughs and asks if the MC's mother clamped too hard while giving birth to him. He demands to see the messed up face and asks if the MC is high or something. Our protagonist is about to snap. He prepares to fight, thinking he has no choice. But suddenly, Aldens goes full Karen mode. He shouts at the elf, asking if they are daring to suspect the Katana Trading Company. The elf tries to argue that it is imperial law, but the Catman cuts him off. He threatens to file a direct complaint to the capital and the Marseille branch if they interfere with his business any further. The threat works. The elf grinds his teeth but realizes he doesn't want to deal with the paperwork or the political fallout. He orders his men to clear the way, telling them the merchant got lucky. Our boy exhales, realizing he just survived by the power of bureaucracy. Later that night, the caravan sets up camp. The guards are assigning night watch duties. Eldens looks at his list and tells Johann that since he is new and tired, he can skip the shift and go to sleep. Our boy is grateful. He thinks, finally I can rest, and prepares to pass out. But just as the MC drifts off, the camera pans to the bushes nearby. The elf mercenaries didn't actually let them go. They are tracking the caravan. One of them whispers to get everyone ready. They plan to surround the camp from the hill and ambush the entire group at once. We shift scene inside our boy's nightmare. But it's not about monsters or knights. It's way worse. Our boy is back in his past life, stuck in the modern military. He is Staff Sergeant Kim, receiving a commendation for defending against a massive enemy force during training. His commanding officer is praising his tactical genius and giving him a reward vacation. In the dream, our boy is thrilled. He thinks, finally, the army appreciates my genius. But then reality hits him, even in his sleep. He remembers the toxic top-down culture, the freezing cold winters, the scorching summers, and most importantly, the paycheck that was smaller than a rat's tail. He tries to desert the army in his dream, screaming that he quits, but an officer grabs him, yelling that he can't leave. He wakes up in a cold sweat, hugging his sword like a teddy bear. His whole body aches. He grumbles that even his dreams are low-paying stress inducers. But his wake-up call isn't over. He looks up at the moon and suddenly realizes something is flying at him. It's an arrow. Bro reacts on pure instinct. He dodges and blocks just as a volley of arrows rains down on the camp. He realizes the safety of the caravan was a lie. It's an ambush. We get a quick flashback to 5 minutes earlier to see the team dynamic. The rookie mercenary Gamson, let's call him the winner, was complaining to the squad leader, a rugged guy with orange hair and an eye patch. The winner was salty that the leader assigned a night watch duty to him, and instead of the suspicious outsider, our boy. The winner rants about how he became a mercenary to live like a real man, not to do chores while a stranger sleeps. He basically throws a tantrum, saying he regrets joining this party. The one-eyed leader is about to smack him for being an idiot, but then the arrows start flying. The leader dives on top of the winner, blocking the arrows with his shield. He saves the rookie's life and screams for him to go wake everyone up. Back in the present, chaos has erupted. The mercenaries are scrambling. The orange-haired leader orders them to form a circular defensive line around the wagon to protect the goods and the cowering Catman merchant Eldens, who is hiding under the carriage. Our boy runs up, ready to help. He asks for a shield because, arrows are flying everywhere. But the one-eyed leader shuts him down cold. He tells the MC that they don't have enough shields and that he doesn't trust him anyway. He basically says, "Good luck, figure it out yourself," and leaves our boy exposed. Our boy is annoyed. He thinks, "Fine, I'll do it myself." He analyzes the attackers. He realizes these aren't the elite wolves of Aquitaine. These guys move sloppy. They are just common bandits. The mercenaries charge out to fight. Most of them are messy, breaking formation. The only one actually using his brain besides the leader is a blonde mercenary, who is fighting efficiently. But the rest? Total disaster. The battle gets messy. The mercenaries are outnumbered. Even the blonde mercenary, who is actually holding his own, gets overwhelmed by the sheer numbers. He gets cornered, and a bandit jumps him, ready to deliver the killing blow. Our boy sighs. He knows if the only other guy with a brain dies, this caravan is toast. He draws the sword he looted from the Imperial Knight. He swings it from a distance, unleashing a wave of red aura. Slash. The bandit trying to kill the blonde mercenary gets cut in half before he even touches the guy. The blonde mercenary looks around, confused and shaking. He sees the bandit drop dead with a clean cut, realizing he was milliseconds away from being deleted. Then, everyone, including the one-eyed leader, notices the sword. The blade isn't just glowing purple. It's literally drinking the blood from the air. The runes on the blade light up. The bandits start panicking. One of them screams, "It's a demonic sword." They realize that a guy guarding a peddler wagon is wielding a cursed weapon that eats people. Their morale instantly shatters. They think, "We can't fight black magic." Our boy sees the fear in their eyes and decides to double down on the intimidation. He goes full noble mode. He points the blood-drinking sword at them and declares in his haughtiest voice, "I am Johann of House Heights. How dare you filth attack me?" The bandits freeze. They hear noble house and see demonic sword, and they do the math. They assume he is some high-ranking Dark Knight. Our boy gives them a choice. Surrender now, or become food for my sword. The bandits immediately drop their weapons. They fall to their knees, begging for mercy. The one-eyed leader, the blonde mercenary, and the rest are staring at our boy with their jaws on the floor. The rookie, the winner, is trembling. They realize the suspicious hobo they were trash-talking is actually a terrifying noble with a vampire sword. Our boy calmly sheaths his weapon. He turns to one of the shocked mercenaries, a grunt named Gorin, and barks an order, "Find them." Gorin stammers, "Yes, sir," and scrambles to obey. Our boy acted like he owned the place, and honestly, after that display, he basically does. The scene shifts to the aftermath of the battle. The mercenaries are whispering among themselves, panic setting in. They wonder what they should do about the noble they've been treating like a hobo. They realize they didn't even set up a private tent for him, and are terrified he might hold a grudge for the poor service. The mercenary leader whispers back that since they fought together, it counts as goodwill, so they should just keep their mouths shut and watch how things play out. The Catman merchant, Eldens, decides to do damage control. He approaches our boy, putting on his best customer service voice. He thanks Sir Johann of House Heights for protecting the caravan and asks how he can repay him. Internally, Eldens is sweating. He thinks, "If I knew this guy was a noble, I wouldn't have been so stingy with the shields." Our boy looks at him and decides to play the long game. He puts on a humble face and asks what repayment he is talking about. He claims that the safety of the group is the only thing that matters. Eldens is shocked. He suddenly admires this selfless knight. But our boy isn't being selfless. He's being manipulative. He casually adds, "By the way, next time lend me a shield first." Eldens flushes with embarrassment and promises to prioritize him forever. Our boy smirks internally. He has successfully guilt-tripped the merchant into being his personal servant. Then our boy switches gears. He says he wants to interrogate the prisoners and asks for the mercenaries' help. We cut to the prisoners, who are now tied up and kneeling on the ground. Suddenly, the rookie mercenary, the winner, decides to act tough. Now that the enemies are defenseless, he feels brave. He steps forward and raises his hand to backhand one of the crying bandits. But before the hit lands, the orange-haired leader steps in. He catches the rookie's wrist midair, stopping the abuse. The rookie pulls his arm back and scoffs. He puts on a smug face, acting like he was just delivering justice, completely ignoring the fact that he was hiding behind a shield 5 minutes ago. He struts away, looking pleased with himself for bullying a tied-up prisoner. Our boy watches this, noting the rookie's trash personality, but focuses on the interrogation. The bandit leader reveals the tragic backstory. They aren't random thugs. They are the private soldiers of Housebridge. He explains that their lord was accused of treason and slaughtered by the noble executioner. The mercenaries realize they are talking about Karama, the emperor's hunting dog. Our boy connects the dots. He realizes the treason charge was a lie. The emperor is just purging nobles he doesn't like to consolidate power. He realizes these bandits are victims, just like him. However, the Catman doesn't care about the sob story. He screams at the bandits, asking why they targeted his company specifically. The bandit leader admits it was purely because the caravan looked expensive. Eldons is about to throw hands, but the mercenaries ask Johann for the order to execute them. But our boy pulls a plot twist. He tells them to stop. The mercenaries are confused. The bloodthirsty ones want to finish the job. But the blonde mercenary, the smart one, reminds everyone that the prisoners belong to Johann. Our boy looks at the bandits and tells them to leave. The bandits are crying tears of joy, swearing they will never do bad things again. But the rookie, the winner, is furious. He asks why they are sparing criminals. Our boy drops some wisdom. He tells the bandits that robbing people is trash behavior. He points at the mercenary named Goran and says, "Look at this guy. He's here because he gets paid. Go learn a skill and get a job like him." Basically, he tells them to stop being hobo murderers and start participating in the economy. The bandits thank him profusely and run away. As the group packs up to leave, the camera pans to the forest. We see glowing eyes watching them. The boss monster, the Black Wolf, is still stalking our boy. It's getting creepy. The caravan finally arrives at a rest stop called Ruzbek Village. The village chief greets Eldons warmly. They gossip about the road conditions. Eldons mentions they were attacked but saved by a brave noble. The chief laughs. He mentions that another noble came through recently, but it turned out to be a fraud, so the chief beat him half to death. Eldons insists that Johann is different. He glazes our boy up, calling him upright and honorable because he didn't ask for a single coin of reward. The chief is stunned. A noble who doesn't like money? He thinks that's impossible. Meanwhile, the noble who doesn't like money is currently sitting under a tree, starving to death. He looks like he's about to pass out from hunger. The blonde mercenary walks up and hands him a bag of loot. It's the money from selling the bandits' gear. Our boy looks at the bag. He knows he could keep it all, but he decides to make an investment. He takes a small amount and pushes the bag back to the mercenary. He says, "Split the rest with the boys." The mercenary is shocked. He says it's too much. Our boy insists, acting cool on the outside. But internally, he is screaming. It physically hurts him to give away money. He thinks, "My precious gold, my blood and sweat." But he calculates that buying the loyalty of these meat shields is worth more than the cash right now. He tells the mercenary they are comrades in arms now. The mercenary walks away, blushing like a schoolgirl. He thinks Johann is the most dignified knight ever. He gathers the squad and announces that Lord Johann has gifted them the loot. The mercenaries lose their minds. They start chanting Johann's name, fully converted to the Church of Johann. Finally, our boy gets a room to sleep. He is exhausted, but the universe hates him. Just as he is about to drift off, the door creaks open. A shadow enters the room. It's an ambusher with a dagger, moving in for the kill. Bro just cannot catch a break. The mercenaries are cheering for Johann, chanting his name like he is the messiah of coin. They think he is the most generous lord in history. But our boy is standing there with a devilish smirk on his face. He reveals in his inner monologue that he just pulled off a classic scam. He kept all the silver coins, the actual valuable currency, for himself and only distributed the copper chump change to the squad. He basically bought their undying loyalty for the price of a cheap lunch. He thinks it's a brilliant investment in human capital. An old villager approaches him, acting super respectful. He asks if he is the noble who saved the caravan. When our boy confirms it, the old man guides him to the VIP guest room, mentioning that the Katana Trading Company has already covered all the expenses. Our boy is pleased. He thinks he has successfully guilt-tripped Eldons into paying for everything. Meanwhile, in the background, the rookie mercenary, the winner, Ganson, is fuming. He realizes he is the only one who didn't get a bonus. He complains that it's unfair, conveniently forgetting that while everyone else was fighting for their lives, he was hiding behind a shield like a coward. He watches our boy walking away with that expensive sword and decides that if he can't get paid, he's going to take what he deserves. Our boy finally gets a moment of peace. He takes a warm bath and feels his soul healing. He reflects on how tragic his life has been recently, starving in the woods, sleeping in the dirt. He realizes that a soft bed and hot water are the ultimate luxuries. He starts strategizing. He knows the Imperial Army is still hunting him, and he can't fight an entire empire alone. He decides his best bet is to leech off the Katana Trading Company. He remembers that powerful merchant guilds have deep political connections and can even influence armies. He decides to stick to Eldons like a parasite to ensure his survival. He finishes his bath, feels his stomach rumble, and decides to go to sleep. But the universe refuses to let him rest. The door creaks open, and a shadow creeps in with a dagger. It's an assassin moving in for the kill. The assassin lunges, but our boy doesn't even flinch. He catches the guy's arm midair like he's catching a slow-motion fly. He sighs, looking at the attacker with pure exhaustion. He asks if these people ever get tired of trying to kill him. The assassin tries to pull away, but he realizes too late that he hasn't grabbed a sleeping noble. He has grabbed a monster. We cut to a flashback from 5 minutes earlier to see how this brilliant plan was hatched. Gamson, the winner, is conspiring with a local village thug. He asks if it's really okay to leave the assassination to that guy. The thug assures him that Violin is the strongest man in Rusbek village and that a dagger in the dark is unblockable. Meanwhile, another accomplice is in the stables, trying to steal our boy's horse Philip. He's admiring the beast, thinking he hit the jackpot. Back to Gamson. He is busy hyping up the loot. He tells the thugs that Johan's sword is worth a fortune because it can slice through iron. He claims the knight is nothing without his weapon. But mid-sentence, they hear a terrifying sound from the second floor. It's the sound of the strongest man in the village, getting absolutely destroyed. Gamson's face goes pale. He realizes the plan has failed catastrophically. He doesn't even hesitate. He screams, "Run," and sprints toward the stables, leaving his partner confused. At the stable, the horse thief is still struggling with Philip. He sees Gamson running in and asks where Villain is. Gamson is panting, screaming that Villain is either dead or wishing he was. He demands they steal the horse and leave immediately because the noble bastard is coming for them. The thief is confused, saying he can't leave without Villain. But suddenly, they hear a loud crash. They look up to see our boy jumping out of the second-floor window. He lands in front of the stable like a raid boss entering the arena. The two thieves freeze. They look at the noble they tried to rob, and they realize they have made a very, very severe miscalculation. The narration reminds of where we are, the Holy Empire's outskirts. Two soldiers are hammering a warning sign into a wooden post. One asks if it's solid, and the other confirms it. The notice reads, "Those who steal a noble's property will be punished by death, along with their families." One soldier asks what the previous guy stole to get hanged. The other soldier reveals they stole 1 chicken and 3 eggs. That's right. Entire families wiped out over breakfast ingredients. It sets the tone perfectly. In this world, a noble's property is worth more than a commoner's life. We cut to the restaurant where the Catman merchant, Eldens, is enjoying a nice meal. But his lunch break is ruined when a waiter runs in with bad news. He whispers that Gamson, the rookie mercenary, got caught trying to steal Sir Johan's belongings. Eldens spits out his drink. He immediately goes into damage control mode. He thinks, "This is troublesome. I was hoping to sweet-talk Johan into protecting us all the way to Marseille." The Catman makes a ruthless executive decision. He orders his men to capture Gamson immediately and act like they have nothing to do with him. He decides to cut off the dead weight to save the company's reputation. Internally, Eldens is hyperventilating. He tells himself to calm down, that he's survived worse, but he needs to figure out how to appease the angry noble. Meanwhile, at the village chief's house, a meeting is wrapping up. The chief is about to call it a day when someone bursts in screaming that the troublemakers got caught stealing from the noble. The chief's face goes pale. He calls the kids useless brats and asks what they should do. But the chief isn't looking for a liar. He's looking for a sacrifice. He starts shouting crazy ideas. He suggests gathering all the village's treasure as a tribute. He even suggests throwing in one of the slaves. Then he drops the bomb. He says they need to prepare to execute the troublemakers right in front of the noble to show they are sorry. The villagers are horrified. One woman screams that she can't let her child die. The chief snaps. He screams at them to shut up. He asks if they have forgotten the emperor's edict. He explains that they have to make the first move before the noble gets angry. If they wait, the noble might demand that their entire families be hanged or have their hands cut off. He screams, "Do you want everyone in the village to die just because of your brats?" A villager tries to argue that they are in Count Sharping's territory and maybe the count will help. The chief shuts that down immediately. He roasts the count, saying nobles don't care if peasants live or die. The room falls silent. The parents are crying, but they realize the chief is right. To save the village, the kids have to go. The chief agrees to the plan with a heavy heart, saying he's sorry, but it's for the greater good. We cut to the courtyard. The thieves, Gamson and the village idiots, are beaten black and blue, kneeling on the ground. Our boy Johan looks at them and sighs. He thinks this situation blew up way out of proportion. He realizes they aren't assassins sent by the emperor. They are just dumb kids who saw a shiny sword and tried to grab it. He blames himself slightly for carrying a Thanos sword in the open like a loot magnet. He decides to just scare them a little and let them go. The village chief approaches, shaking like a leaf. He asks if Johan is alright. Our boy puts on his stern face. He asks if it's a village custom to welcome guests with sleeping gas and knives. The chief bows so low his head hits the dirt. He apologizes profusely for failing to control the idiots. Our boy thinks, okay, that's enough of a scare. He tells him to be careful next time and dismisses everyone. But the chief misunderstands completely. When Johan says, dismissed, the chief thinks he means, go ahead and kill them. The chief pulls out a knife and walks toward one of the tied-up kids. He shouts that he will personally cut off their heads to restore Johan's honor. Our boy's eyes widen. He shouts, stop. But the chief is too panicked. He thinks Johan is saying stop because a simple beheading isn't painful enough. He apologizes for trying to give them an easy death. The kid on the chopping block is screaming for mercy. His mother is watching from the crowd, sobbing. Our boy finally loses his patience. He unleashes his aura and shouts, didn't you hear me tell you to stop? The pressure waves hit the crowd. Everyone freezes. The chief drops the knife, terrified. Our boy looks around and asks if everyone has lost their minds. He asks why they are trying to kill people over such a trivial reason. He drops his capitalist philosophy. If you want them to pay for their crimes, make them pay with money. He scolds them, asking how honor could possibly be more precious than human life. He orders them to untie the kids and get lost. The villagers look at him like he's a literal angel descended from heaven. The chief falls to his knees, praising Johan's honorable decision. The parents rush in, hugging their kids and crying. They thank Johan, calling him a saint. The chief realizes Aldens wasn't lying. This guy really is a rare, good noble. But while everyone is celebrating, there is one loose end. Gamson, the winner, is the only one still tied up. He sees the other kids getting released and thinks he's off the hook too. He scoffs internally, thinking, geez, finally. I never should have joined this unlucky mercenary band. He has zero remorse. He thinks, I got caught this time, but next time, I'll definitely succeed. The orange-haired leader, the mercenary captain, walks up to him. He puts a knife to Gamson's throat. Gamson is confused. The leader whispers, relax your body. It will make it easier for you. Gamson asks, what are you talking about? Slice. The leader kills him instantly. Our boy witnesses this from a distance and freezes. He realizes that while he spared the village kids, the mercenary code is different. Gamson betrayed his own team, and in this world, that is a death sentence. Loving the story so far? A like and subscribe are very much appreciated. It really helps the channel grow and lets me get these recaps out to you even faster. Thanks a lot and let's get back into it. The scene is dead silent. Our boy stares at the fresh corpse of Gamson, the snitch who just got stitched. He looks at Khan, the mercenary leader, with pure confusion. He asks if Khan realizes he just executed someone right in front of a noble, which is usually a fast pass to jail. The MC points out that he explicitly told them to let the thieves go, so this looks like blatant insubordination. But Khan doesn't flinch. He explains that even sales words have a code. Gamson tried to steal from a client, and that kind of trash behavior ruins the market for everyone else. Then Khan pulls a massive power move. He hands his own dagger to our boy. He says, if you think I'm wrong, punish me right now. My man is literally betting his life on his professional pride. The other mercenaries are sweating bullets, thinking their boss is about to get decapitated. Even Eldens, the catman, is shaking, but our protagonist sighs. He realizes he can't argue with that level of conviction. He admits he failed to consider their professional standards and apologizes. The crowd is shocked. A noble apologizing to a filthy mercenary? That's like a billionaire apologizing to a parking attendant. Our boy tells Khan to put the knife away. Khan is stunned but thanks him. As the situation cools down, Khan wipes the sweat off his face and admits that if he ever tries to act that cool again, someone needs to punch him. Meanwhile, Eldridge is in the background, blushing and glazing our boy so hard it's embarrassing. He is fully convinced the MC is a living saint. He's already mentally planning to introduce Johan to the trading company executives and make him his business life partner. Later, the group leaves the village. Our boy inspects his loot, a fancy pocket watch that turns out to be broken. Total scam. But he got another reward, a slave. We get a flashback to the village chief handing over the gift. The chief basically gift-wrapped the scrawny kid to get rid of an extra mouth to feed, claiming the boy is a human GPS. Our boy looked at the kid, Kun, who was filthy, starving, and one bad day away from the grave. The MC realized that if he left him behind, the villagers would probably just let him die. So, being the pragmatic guy he is, he accepted the gift to save the kid's life. Back in the present, evening falls and the caravan sets up camp. The mercenaries are feasting on soup, thinking the MC is generous. He's actually just cheap and keeping the silver coins for himself. Cohen brings our boy some food. Our boy tells him to drop the formal act and just call him Johan. He decides to ask for the lore drop. How does a geography expert end up as a slave? Cohen spills the tea. He used to be a peddler, but then he took a job smuggling gold for a noble to feed his starving siblings. He did the job perfectly, but the noble snitched on him to cover his own cracks. The guards took all the money as a bribe, so his siblings got nothing, and he got enslaved. Our boy listens, fuming internally. This world is absolute trash. If you don't have power, you're just food for the rich. He feels bad, but he reminds himself that he's currently a wanted criminal too. He tells Cohen to go get some rest. But before the kid leaves, our boy accidentally drops a line with crazy Riz. Don't die. Let's survive and live well together. Cohen turns beet red. It is looking very likely that this boy is actually a girl and she just caught major feelings. But before the romance arc can start, a mercenary screams. Everyone looks toward the forest. There is a massive red aura glowing in the dark. The mercenaries are shaking, calling it a monster. The energy is screaming boss fight. Our boy stands up, but instead of drawing his sword, he tells everyone to chill and put their weapons away. The mercenaries think he's finally lost his mind, but our boy knows exactly who is standing in those shadows. The tension is thick enough to cut with a dull knife. Our boy tells the mercenaries to chill out and says he will go take a look at the monster. The mercenaries are whispering, terrified. They think the unsee is suicidal. They warn each other that no matter how brave a knight is, walking up to a boss monster in the dark is just a fancy way to delete your own save file. Even Eldrin's, the Catman, is sweating, thinking about his profit margins hitting zero if his bodyguard gets eaten. But our boy recognizes that pressure. He sees the red eyes glowing in the dark. It's the Black Wolf of Ill Omen, the same beast that slaughtered the Imperial mercenaries earlier. Our boy knows the aggro mechanics here. The wolf didn't attack him before, so he figures he has enough plot armor to survive this too. He walks right up to the beast and says, "Did you follow me? Thanks for the assist earlier." Then, he does the unthinkable. He reaches up to pet the nightmare fuel. The mercenaries are losing their minds. The wolf snarls at the mercenaries, basically telling them to back off, but it lets our boy touch its head. The mercenaries scream at him to move before he loses a hand, but our boy tells them to stop startling the big puppy. Suddenly, Eldon's the Catman has a realization. He looks at the wolf, then at the NC, and his eyes go wide. He drops a massive roar. He mentions an old song from the Eastern Empire. The legend speaks of a Guide of Dawn. According to the myth, a warrior gave a wolf a name, and the wolf bowed its head, becoming a vassal. This duo then went on to save the world and bring peace. Typical hero stuff. Our boy is skeptical. He asks if Eldon's needs glasses because this thing is clearly the Wolf of Ill Omen, not some holy guide. But Eldon's insists. He claims the legend got twisted over time. The Guide of Dawn punishes evil and submits only to a true hero. Eldon's gets caught up in the hype and asks if he can pet it too. The wolf immediately growls, looking at the Catman like he's a snack. Eldon's retracts his hand instantly, realizing he is not the main character. Eldon starts connecting the dots. The wolf is only gentle to Johann. He wonders if our boy is actually the legendary hero from the prophecy. He asks the MC if he has given the wolf a name yet. Our boy admits he hasn't. Eldon's, being a corporate sellout, suggests the name Katana to promote his trading company. Our boy ignores that terrible branding suggestion. He thinks back to the last time he saw this wolf. It was when he buried the Imperial Knight, Karamov. So, with a twisted sense of humor, he decides to name the wolf Karamov. Eldon's is shocked by the naming choice, but it's too late. The ritual is complete. Suddenly, the red aura around the wolf vanishes and is replaced by a brilliant blue light. It's a literal Pokemon evolution. The Wolf of Ill Omen has officially become the Guide of Dawn. The massive beast bows its head to our boy. Our boy pets the newly upgraded mount and says, "I'll be counting on you, Karamov." Meanwhile, Eldon's is on his knees, fully bowing. He is geeking out, saying he's never seen a myth come to life before. He starts glazing our boy into the stratosphere. He lists Johann's achievements: protecting the caravan, showing mercy to bandits, and now taming a divine beast. He declares Johann the hero of troubled times. Our boy tries to deny it. He explains he is just a broke wanderer trying to make a living. Internally, he's thinking, "Bro, I beat a guy to death with my bare hands and stole his sword. I am not a hero." But Eldrin's isn't listening. He is fully committed to the fan club. He asks for permission to introduce Johann to the Katana Trading Company headquarters in Marseille. Our boy asks about this Marseille place. Eldritch explains that Marseille is a free trade city, but then he drops the key selling point. The Emperor's power cannot reach there. The moment our boy hears Emperor can't reach it, he is sold. He thinks this is the perfect chance to lay low and maybe even start a business to get rich. The narration kicks in. Our boy hopes no weird rumors spread about him being a hero. He knows he's just a survivor. He remembers the cursed Karama shouted at him, that he would know only suffering. But he refuses to accept that bad ending. With a new legendary pet, a wealthy sponsor, and a destination that hates the Emperor, our boy is ready for the next arc. Next stop, the city of Wealth, Marseille. Let's get that bread. We are finally in the big city. The group arrives in Marseille, the commercial hub of the region. Our boy looks around, relieved to be back in civilization. He decides it's time to do some shopping. But there is a massive problem. He has a giant legendary wolf standing next to him. Suddenly, a random lady walks up and starts petting a small white puppy. She calls it cute. Our boy looks down. It's Karamuf. The wolf of ill omen has utilized its resizing mechanics to turn into a harmless pocket pet. We get a flashback to the previous day. Our boy told the wolf that walking into a city looking like a raid boss would cause a panic. He asked if the wolf could wait outside, but apparently, the divine beast has a disguise mode. Back in the present, our boy realizes this is the perfect camouflage. A crowd gathers, admiring the puppy. They ask if it's a rare foreign breed. Cohen, the slave-turned-navigator, steps in with a lie, saying the dog has no mana and is just a pet, but they need to move fast. Our boy knows they are still fugitives. He asks Cohen the budget. He needs a tactical bag, oil, vinegar for equipment maintenance, and a large backpack. He asks Cohen if he remembers his merchant routes. But there is a catch. Our boy only has 4 silver coins. He asks if that is enough to buy all that gear. Cohen looks at the coins and smirks. He promises to get everything for just 1 silver coin. Our boy laughs, thinking the kid is dreaming. 50 minutes later, Cohen returns with a mountain of loot. Our boy checks the inventory. A tactical bag, a large supply backpack, and all the maintenance oils. Cohen explains he used his gift of gab skill to sell the broken hand, the trash loot our boy picked up earlier, for a massive markup. He even got a mace thrown in for free as a bonus. The math is absolutely broken. They started with 4 silver. They spent 1. But because of the resale value of the junk, they now have a profit of 9 silver. Our boy looks at the ledger in shock. Cohen didn't just shop, he manipulated the market. Our boy suddenly regrets burying the Thanos armor in the woods. If Cohen can sell trash for this much, that armor would have funded his retirement. He asks Cohen if he likes being back in the trade. Cohen smiles, admitting that living as a slave was a nightmare of despair. But being with Johan makes him feel like a human being again. Our boy is touched. He tells the kid he is counting on him. With the supplies secured, it is time to enjoy this city. We get a montage of our boy living his best life. He is eating high-quality steak instead of the leather shoe jerky he had in the wild. He takes a hot bath, scrubbing off weeks of grime. He sleeps in a soft, warm bed instead of on damp stones. He decides right then and there, I am never camping again. I am going to live here forever. But the next day, reality comes crashing down. Our boy is walking through the city square, munching on street food. He overhears the locals gossiping. Apparently, a new group of bandits is terrorizing the area. People are scared. They say the bandits are taking hostages and stealing goods. Cohen warns our boy that the atmosphere is tense. The beggar shouts, "Do you know who I am?" He demands money for food, saying he hasn't eaten in 4 days. The narration reveals the identity of this bum. He is a struggler from the Wolves of Aquitaine, the elf mercenary squad that was hunting our boy. He got separated from his unit and drifted to Marseille, starving and desperate. The elf looks up and locks eyes with our boy. Recognition flashes instantly. The elf reaches for his weapon, shouting, "You bastard." Our boy panics. If he fights here, his cover is blown. The entire empire will know where he is. But before the elf can swing, a sword flashes from above. Slash. The elf's head goes flying. A knight on a horse stands over the body. He assumes the elf was just a violent robber attacking a civilian. The savior introduces himself as Captain Prattle of the Oak Free Mercenaries. He announces to the crowd that his squad will wipe out all the bandits and make Marseille safe again. Our boy stands there, stunned. The universe just gave him a massive assist. The elf died without leaking his location. But the fear sets in. Our boy realizes he was seconds away from being exposed. He bites his lip. He knows he can't stay lucky forever. He needs a powerful shield. He needs the Katana Trading Company. If the Empire finds him before he secures that alliance, he is dead meat. His goal is clear. Go to the company HQ and get into their good graces immediately. Just then, a woman approaches him. She is a catfolk maid, and she looks fashionable. She introduces herself as Axos, a maid of the Katana Trading Company. She says she heard about his exploits from Eldon's and claims the company wants to form a close bond with him. She asks if he would accompany her to their headquarters. Our boy grins internally. His sugar daddy Eldon's actually came through. The path to safety is open. We cut to the Katana Trading Company's headquarters. Our boy is sitting in a fancy waiting room, looking ready to secure the bag. He's got his dog with him. Finally, the boss arrives. A woman enters and, naturally, she is another catfolk. She introduces herself as Young, the branch manager of the Marseille office. She offers our boy some special tea, imported from the Mediterranean to break the ice. Our boy takes one sniff and realizes immediately, wait, this isn't tea. This is coffee. He compliments the aroma of the roasted fruit seeds, showing off his modern knowledge. Young is impressed. She says most people have no clue what it is, so he must have a refined palate. With the small talk over, she gets down to business. She says she knows exactly why he came to them. She claims he must harbor a grand ambition. Our boy is sitting there with a stunned face thinking, ambition? Lady, I just want to not die. But Young continues. She heard from Eldons that Johann is a hero who protects the innocent and shows mercy to enemies. She assumes he came to Marcel to save the city from its corruption or something equally heroic. Our boy decides to just shut up and let her believe the fanfiction. Then she drops the bomb. She offers to introduce him to the governor of Marseille. She explains that if he gets the governor's backing, even the emperor's grandfather couldn't touch him. Our boy hears untouchable and is ready to sign the contract immediately. She explains the perks: free food at their restaurants, free stays at their inns, and access to all their entertainment. Basically, he gets a legendary all-inclusive resort pass for the whole city. But there is one condition. When the company calls, he must fight for them. Our boy asks if she wants him to fight the bandits. Young shakes her head. She says the oak-free mercenaries are already handling the bandits. Instead, she has a different job. She says some local shopkeepers are complaining about the Katana Group's monopoly. She asks our boy to go eliminate those complaining shopkeepers. And just to make it extra dark, she asks him to kill their children too, to prevent future revenge. Our boy stares at her for a second. Then he stands up and walks out the door. He tells Cohen, "Let's go. We're leaving." Cohen is confused. He asks, "Leave the high life?" Our boy explains. He says monopolies are annoying, sure. But killing innocent people and children just to silence complaints? That's trash behavior. He refuses the deal instantly. He might be greedy, but he isn't a psychopath. Suddenly, Young smiles. She calls out to him, "You passed." Our boy turns around, confused. She reveals it was a vibe check. She wanted to see if he was a moral person or just a hired gun. She explains that the Katana Group actually has a great reputation and doesn't kill competitors. Since he passed the moral test, she gives him the sponsorship for real. She tells him to just kick back and relax while the Oak mercenaries handle the war. Our boy grins. He basically just won the lottery by being a decent human being for once. Outside, he tells Cohen that leaving the high life was a joke. They're about to eat the most expensive steak in the city. Our boy thinks everything is perfect. He has a sponsor, a safe city, and a full belly. But because the universe hates him, the good vibes last exactly 5 minutes. While walking down the street, they stumble upon a crowd gathered around some bodies lying in the road. Goran, the blonde mercenary, walks up. He explains that bandits are murdering merchant families and dumping the bodies in the city to send a message. The citizens are terrified. They start arguing about politics. Some scream that the emperor is secretly funding the bandits to destabilize Marseille. Others shout that it's blasphemy to accuse the emperor. It's a mess. Our boy is annoyed. His peaceful retirement plan is already getting ruined by local crime. We cut back to the Katana office. A maid rushes in with terrible news. She tells Manager Young that they have lost all contact with the Oak-free mercenaries. The entire squad that went to fight the bandits has gone silent. A messenger was found dead in the woods. Young is shocked. The Oak mercenaries are a top-tier unit with fortress-level equipment. It shouldn't be possible for bandits to wipe them out. Desperate for answers, she orders her staff to summon Master Sweat, a mage of the river, to use prophecy. The scene shifts to a waterfall. We see a Gandalf-looking old man staring into the water. He is watching everything. He monologues to himself. He sees the fellow who killed the Emperor's hound, trying to hide in Marseille. He chuckles, noting that our boy thinks he can hide in the city's money pouch, but things aren't going to go as planned. The mage knows the MC is there, and he knows the trouble that is coming. We are back at the Katana Trading Company HQ. The Gandalf-looking mage, Master Swago, has finally arrived. The Catfolk maid welcomes him, thanking him for coming. But the mage is complaining. He says his back is about to snap because the carriage driver drove like a maniac. The maid apologizes and goes to fetch branch manager Young. Left alone, the mage stares at the door. He mutters that according to the prophecy of the river, he will meet him right here. Just then our boy walks in. He is hyping himself up. He thinks today is the day he meets the governor of Marseille and secures his permanent residency visa. He feels like he made it to the final round of a corporate job interview. But suddenly, his puppy, Karamov, starts growling at the old man in the room. Our boy asks what's wrong. The mage looks at the dog and scoffs. He says, "Karamov? That is a terrible name for a divine beast." Our boy is stunned. How does this random senior citizen know the dog is a divine beast? The mage introduces himself as Swago, the sage of the Afei River. Our boy is confused until the old man clarifies, "I am a mage." The moment the word mage drops, our boy loses his composure completely. He fanboys hard. He almost hugs the old man, shouting that it is an honor to meet a real wizard. He has always wanted to meet one. The mage is a bit weirded out by the enthusiasm but smirks. He says, "For someone being hunted by the emperor, you look pretty relaxed." Our boy freezes. His smile shatters. He asks how the mage knows that. The mage points to his head and says, "The river told me." Apparently, this guy has 5G connection to the future. Our boy asks if he is going to report him. The mage laughs. He asks why he would bother. He explains that he is a scholar of nature. He doesn't care about the petty political squabbles of the secular world. Besides, if he wanted to snitch, he wouldn't be chatting with him right now. Our boy realizes the old man is chill, so naturally he decides to exploit this opportunity. He asks to learn magic. The mage is surprised. Usually, knights think magic is for nerds, but our boy is practically vibrating with excitement. He is already imagining himself as a magic swordsman, boosting his stats and increasing his survival odds. The mage agrees to teach him, but there is a catch. He challenges our boy to a game. If the MC wins even a single round, he will share his knowledge. Our boy asks what the game is. Chess? Arm wrestling? The mage scoffs at arm wrestling, knowing he would get snapped like a twig. He points to a board. It's the game of gods. Basically, it's go or baduck. Our boy grins internally. In his past life, he was actually a tournament winner at this game. He thinks, I am going to destroy this old man. 50 minutes later, the mage is sweating bullets. He begs, please let me take back a few moves. Our boy shuts him down. Absolutely not. You already used 5 takebacks. The mage is having a meltdown. He claims even the Sultan of the East couldn't beat him, so this must be a fluke. Our boy wins easily. He demands the reward. The mage, desperate to save face, asks for one more game. He promises a special gift if he loses again. Our boy hears gift and his greedy senses tingle. He agrees. The mage shamelessly asks for a handicap of 3 stones. While they play, our boy asks the big question. Can I use magic in combat? The mage stops playing. He looks disappointed. He explains that mages are scholars who study nature, not soldiers. He says trying to use the mysteries of nature for violence is foolish. He drops some lore. Mages borrow power from spirits found in wind, fire, and water. These spirits usually help for free, but if you annoy them, the price is fatal. Our boy's dreams of being a spellcasting knight are crushed instantly. He whispers, forget becoming a magic swordsman. This sounds too risky. Suddenly, branch manager Young rushes in. She scolds the maid for not reporting the mage's arrival sooner. She walks into the room and freezes. She sees the legendary sage, Master Swago, begging a random noble for a takeback on the board game. She thinks, Master Swago is losing? Just who is this Johan guy? Our boy tells the mage to accept his loss with dignity. The mage laughs, realizing he has been completely humbled. He decides to honor the bet. He hands our boy 2 potions. He explains they are flasks containing the secrets of the river. One is the water of wrath, and the other is the water of blessing. Our boy pockets the loot immediately. He didn't get fireball spells, but free potions are always a win. We are at the outpost of the Oak-Free mercenaries. These guys are supposed to be elites, but right now, they are looking at something in the darkness and absolutely losing their minds. A massive figure approaches them. One mercenary stammers. What the hell is that? Is it a beast? A mage. They realize too late that this isn't a bandit raid. It's an extermination. The Shield of Oak is about to get snapped in half. We cut back to the Katana Trading Company HQ, where our boy is securing his own bag. The mage, Master Swago, hands over the rewards for the board game. He gives our boy 2 flasks, the Water of Wrath and the Water of Blessing. He explains the stats. The red flask is a max-level healing potion. As long as your head is still attached, it can heal almost anything. The green flask is the opposite. Its acid so potent it can melt a person with a single drop. Our boy pockets the loot immediately. He didn't get fireball spells, but a full restore and a death potion are solid additions to the inventory. With the transaction complete, the mage turns to branch manager Young. It is time for the bad news. He delivers the prophecy. He says the Shield of the Oak has been trampled by a rock of steel. He predicts that flames will engulf the city. Manager Young turns pale. She realizes the Oak mercenaries, their main defense force, have been wiped out. She tells our boy it is time to attend the emergency city council meeting. The scene shifts to the council room. It is full of stuffy nobles and politicians arguing over nothing. We meet Baron Aimbach, a guy with red hair and a mustache that looks absolutely ridiculous. Then the big boss arrives. Governor Velako. Our boy eyes him carefully. This is the man who runs Marcel. If our boy wants to live in a city the emperor can't touch, he needs to glaze this guy up and get on his good side. Governor Velako starts the meeting and introduces our boy as Johann of Hosjeitz. Everyone applauds, but Baron Aimbach interrupts the vibe. He asks why the mercenaries hired by the trading company failed to kill the bandits. Then he drops a nuclear take. He says they should just ask the emperor for help. The room explodes into chaos. The anti-emperor faction starts screaming. They shout that the emperor is the one funding the bandits to destabilize their city. The pro-emperor faction screams back, calling that blasphemy. It turns into a full-blown Twitter argument in real life. Our boy is sitting there, ears bleeding. He thinks politicians are the same in every world, loud and useless. He is sweating bullets because half the room supports the emperor. If his identity leaks here, he is cooked. Baron Aimbach insists that the Emperor values peace and would send troops instantly if asked. Our boy almost has a heart attack. Imperial troops entering the city means his execution is scheduled for tomorrow. But Governor Vlaco saves the day. He politely declines the Baron's suggestion. He claims he doesn't want to burden the Emperor during a time of rebellion. Our boy exhales. He thinks Vlaco is a bro for keeping the feds out. The meeting ends, but Vlaco asks our boy to stay behind for a private chat. Our boy gets nervous. He wonders if Vlaco is secretly pro-Emperor. Vlaco invites him to his office. Once they are alone, Vlaco asks about his family. He asks, Halcyates, was it? He claims Halcyates is famous for its date palm-infused liquor. Our boy is confused. He made up the name Yates by changing one letter of his real name, 8. He didn't think it was a real place. Vlaco pulls out a bottle. He claims it is the authentic Yates family liquor and offers a glass to comfort the homesick knight. Our boy takes a sip. He has no idea what it's supposed to taste like, so he bluffs. He puts on a sad face and says, this really brings back memories. Internally, he thinks, I nailed that acting performance. Give me an Oscar. Vlaco smiles. He starts talking about the recent purge in the north. He mentions that one house was accused of treason, and the son is currently wanted. He drops the name, House 8th. Our boy plays dumb. He says, House 8th? Never heard of them. Vlaco laughs. He apologizes for the small talk. Then the governor's face changes. The smile disappears instantly. He asks, did you know Sir Johann? That wasn't date palm liquor. He reveals it was just cheap whiskey he bought down the street. He looks our boy dead in the eye and drops the act. He says, let's stop with the pointless wordplay. Johann 8th. Our boy freezes. His cover isn't just blown, it's incinerated. The governor knows everything. And that's where we're going to leave it for today. I really enjoyed reading this one, and I hope I did this story justice for you guys. If you also did, please smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you're new here, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the next hidden gem. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. The governor decides he is done playing games and tells our boy to drop the act. He turns his back and makes it clear that while Johann's life is currently in his hands, he hasn't decided if he's going to hand him over to the emperor or keep him around. Our boy is sweating bullets as the governor explains his logic. His only loyalty is to the city of Marseille, and he's happy to play the pro-emperor and anti-emperor factions against each other to keep the peace. Since the city is currently dealing with a nasty bandit problem, he gives our boy a very simple choice. Go wipe them out and make himself useful, or get a one-way ticket straight into the emperor's waiting arms. Our boy leaves the meeting feeling completely depressed. He thought getting to Marseille meant he could finally relax, but instead, he just traded one leash for another. He briefly considers ghosting the city entirely, but then he remembers how absolutely exhausting his life was when he was constantly on the run. He realizes that having a roof over his head is a luxury he can't afford to lose, and he decides to stop complaining. He vows to get into the governor's good graces and finally settle down, even if it means doing his dirty work. As he's watching new groups arrive in the city, he spots a massive subjugation force and wonders if these are the men the governor gathered for him. We've got the Red Iron mercenaries, the Jena and Galanto monasteries, and even some high and mighty elves. The kid explains the local power scaling, noting that the Galanto monastery is a male-only order of holy knights famous for their alchemy, while the Jena monastery is a female-centered order known for being strong enough to hunt actual trolls. Then there are the Red Iron dwarf mercenaries who specialize in siege battles and live by a strict code of honor. Finally, there are the knights from Count Bardoth's territory, who are legendary for their skills but also famous for being massive jerks. Our boy meets the branch manager, our favorite cat girl, who introduces him to the leaders. First up is Captain Kimmel of the Red Iron Mercenaries, who is surprisingly friendly. Our boy tries to keep things formal out of respect for the dwarf's authority, but Kimmel insists he should speak casually. He's confident enough that no one is going to doubt his leadership just because our boy isn't using titles. Our boy appreciates the vibe and agrees to drop the formalities. He also gets a look at the Holy Knight commanders. There's Commander Blonde from the male order, and a woman with green eyes and a striking facial scar leading the female knights. The respectful atmosphere is immediately ruined by the arrival of the elves, led by a guy named Gustav and his two sidekicks, who we can pretty much just call the Double L losers. These three show up acting like they own the place, claiming they could handle the bandits all by themselves. When our boy introduces himself as Johann of House Eads, the losers laugh in his face, saying they've never heard of such a lowly family and warning him not to get in their way on the battlefield unless he wants to be collateral damage. They even refuse to take orders from the dwarf captain before demanding the cat girl prepare a massive feast in their honor. Watching them walk away, our boy finally understands why the dwarf captain was so focused on getting everyone's consent earlier. Dealing with these entitled noble headaches is clearly a full-time job. Still, looking at the rest of the lineup, he's feeling pretty good about their chances. His optimism is cut short when a cat maid whispers something to the branch manager, who then informs our boy that someone wants to see him privately that evening. The night before the raid, the camp is a total circus. The elves are throwing a massive party in an open field, gorging themselves on meat and alcohol while surrounding themselves with women. They're bragging about how they don't need magic because their swords and courage are enough to tear anyone apart. Our boy watches from the sidelines, noting that in this world's noble etiquette, refusing a drink is basically a declaration of war because it implies you don't trust your host. He eventually heads to a private tower for his meeting, wondering how these nobles have any livers left after drinking every single day. He finds a hooded figure waiting for him with even more alcohol. When the man reveals himself, it turns out to be Baron Aimbach, a self-proclaimed loyal subject of the Emperor. The Baron admits he was the one who sold our boy out to the governor, claiming it was just business. Our boy tries to act like he's too simple for politics, but the Baron has done his research. He points out that House Eats doesn't actually exist, but there was a House 8 that was recently wiped out for treason. The Baron makes him a pitch: skip the raid tomorrow and use his strength to serve the Emperor instead. He promises our boy glory, a formal knighthood, and plenty of fertile land, claiming it's only natural for the strong to prey on the weak. Our boy listens to the whole speech before calmly reminding the Baron of a similar offer he received once before. He reveals that a few months ago, an imperial knight came to his domain and slaughtered his family under the Emperor's orders. Our boy refused that offer too, and he ended that conversation by crushing the knight's skull. With a terrifying death glare, he confirms he is indeed the sole survivor of House 8. The Baron starts shaking with fear as our boy drains his glass, pulverizes it in his bare hand, and then slams his fist through the table to emphasize his point. He warns the Baron that he's handling the bandits for his own reasons, and if the secret of his identity gets out, the next thing he crushes will be the Baron's head. Our boy storms out, fuming that such a pathetic noble thought he could manipulate him. But as he's walking away, his chest starts to burn. He can't catch his breath, and when blood starts leaking from his nose, the terrifying reality sets in. He's been poisoned. He collapses to the ground, paralyzed and fading fast, while the Baron remains in the room him with a smug, treacherous grin, having finally trapped the knight he couldn't outfight. Things are a total mess at the camp near the city's gathering point, starting with our boy's mini-assistant, who is currently fighting for his life against 3 very thirsty mercenary women. They've completely cornered the poor kid, cooing over how cute and skinny he is while complaining about being stuck in a camp full of sweaty old men. They try to lure him into a group hug that is definitely not age-appropriate, but the kid gets so flustered that he nearly short-circuits. He manages to scramble away before they can start dressing him up like a doll, sprinting through the camp while praying he can find our boy and get back to the safety of the trading company. The kid's panic only gets worse as he wanders through the crowd, calling out for Johann and thinking the whole scene is way too scary for his taste. His search comes to a screeching halt when he finally spots our boy, but it's not the heroic reunion he was hoping for. He finds Johann face down in the dirt, surrounded by an alarming amount of blood that seems to be coming from his mouth. The kid starts trembling, absolutely terrified that he's watching our boy's final moments, and he starts shouting for anyone to help. In a moment of pure desperation, he remembers the high-grade red potion the cat branch manager gave them earlier. He fumbles with the bottle, begging our boy to hold on just a little longer, and manages to get the miracle cure down his throat just in time. Back in the present, our boy finally wakes up feeling like he went 10 rounds with a meat grinder. He realizes that the date palm liquor the Baron offered him was a 1-star experience, and definitely packed with enough poison to kill a normal man. Even though the potion saved his life, he's still feeling the lingering effects of the betrayal. However, there's no time for a recovery nap, because while the city is prepping for a raid, the actual enemy is already making their move. The scene shifts to a hidden cave where the local bandits are currently hosting the Ultimate Traders Convention. Baron Aimbach is right in the thick of it, looking way too smug for a man who just tried to assassinate his guest. He isn't the only big player in the room, though. A woman named Janina has arrived, and she's not your average mage. She's an Imperial Court mage and a snake beast man, complete with a literal tank of serpents and a very intimidating vibe. The mercenaries in the cave are skeptical, assuming she's just another mage who relies on fireballs and flashy lights, but Janina shuts that talk down immediately. She scoffs at the idea of using trivial elements, explaining that she specializes in living weapons. To prove she isn't bluffing, she produces a suspicious-looking potion and summons a massive, hulking troll that makes everyone in the room look like ants. The Baron is absolutely delighted by the display of power, shouting that tomorrow is the day they'll crush the city's subjugation force. He leads the room in a chorus of cheers for the Empire, fully convinced that their monster-fueled ambush is going to be a total blowout. Back at the camp, our boy is already planning several steps ahead. He calls the kid over and hands him a top-secret message that needs to get to the governor immediately. He makes it clear that this isn't something that can go through regular channels. The governor needs to verify the information personally and keep it under wraps. As the kid and the other associates head off to handle the delivery, the old man is looking at our boy with a mix of suspicion and curiosity, calling him a literal river of fire. He can't figure out why our boy is working so hard to save a situation that looks like a lost cause, or what his ultimate goal really is. But he knows better than to underestimate the knight who refuses to stay down. The big day finally arrives at the Marshal Gate, and the vibes are a chaotic mix of holy war and a very expensive parade. The bearded captain is standing proud in front of the army, while some guy nearby is having a full-blown spiritual moment, shouting praises to the literal rock they're standing on like it's a 5-star fortress. Our boy is leaning heavily into his main character era, sitting atop a majestic white horse and looking like he's ready for a historical drama photoshoot. His little companion and the grumpy old mentor are there to see him off, with the old man basically telling him to stop worrying because this isn't his first rodeo and he really doesn't need a babysitter. Our boy gives them a casual wave and trots over to the captain to announce that the human GPS has officially arrived and is ready for departure. But before the captain can even finish shouting the order to advance, the resident group of rude elves decides they've had enough of waiting for the short-statured units. They start screaming orders to their own little army and push right to the front of the line, completely hijacking the parade. Our boy just watches the pointy-eared ego-trippers go, finally realizing that the only reason the bearded captain was given command authority was likely just to keep these magical Karens from speaking to the manager of the entire operation. While the army marches out, the scene shifts back to the city where the governor and the branch manager are having a high-stakes tea time. The governor is holding that suspiciously convenient letter our boy found in the villain's room, and he's not exactly buying the story. He's looking at the paper like it's a prank invitation, pointing out that finding an incriminating letter in a bathroom the day before a military deployment is a bit too much like a bad plot device. He suspects our boy might just be settling a grudge between noble houses, but the branch manager is standing 10 toes down for her favorite investment. She reminds the governor that her company doesn't just sponsor any random knight with a gym membership. They only back winners. The governor drops a heavy warning that if our boy's tactical intuition shatters the city's peace, the trading company is going to be paying for the damages in blood and taxes. Meanwhile, at the Pro-Emperor Villain Club, the atmosphere is peak delusional. The salty baron is grinning because he just got word that the subjugation force is walking directly into his trap. He's hanging out with a man named Duke Mayhem, who has the energy of a frat boy who accidentally became a general, and the imperial mage Janina. Mayhem is already planning his victory lap through the local brothels, which has the mage looking like she's reconsidering every life choice that led her to this room. The baron tries to ask if anyone has heard updates on the legendary executioner our boy turned into a human pretzel, but the villains just burst out laughing. They treat the idea of that man getting injured like a hilarious joke, insisting he's a walking tank wrapped in legendary gear and basically a one-man military. The baron puts on a very sweaty, awkward smile, realizing he's the only one who knows that Invincible Knight is currently out of commission, and he's secretly relieved he already silenced the messenger who brought the bad news. Back on the trail, the army comes across a scene of absolute elven carnage. It looks like the elven knights swept through the area like a magical lawnmower, and one of them actually has the audacity to stop our boy's unit just to call them slow. The bearded captain looks like he's about 5 seconds away from turning the elf into a garden gnome, reminding him that he's talking to a dwarf and a noble. Our boy has to step in and play mediator before the forest turns into a race war, asking where the actual battle went. The elf smugly explains that their leader already finished the job and is currently hunting down the scraps. He makes it very clear that all the loot and prisoners belong to the elves, basically telling our boy and the dwarves that they arrived too late for the participation trophies. The bearded captain doesn't even care about the loot since they're already getting paid, but our boy's tactical brain starts tingling. He notices that the bandits who previously wiped out 500 mercenaries somehow just got deleted by the elves without taking a single casualty. His military logic kicks in, noting that the dense forest on the right is a textbook ambush spot. When the elf mocks him for thinking there are enemies in the trees, our boy realizes the bandits retreated on purpose to lure the main force into a kill zone. The captain wants to keep moving just to stop the elves from nagging, but our boy shuts that down immediately. He barks out orders like a drill sergeant, telling everyone to get into a defensive formation and prepare to turn the forest into kindling. The captain is skeptical, worried that shooting at empty trees will make them the laughingstock of the noble circles, but our boy hits him with the ultimate heroic line. He tells the captain that if he has to trade his noble honor for their lives, he'll throw it away as many times as it takes. As they prep the shooters, our boy realizes that being a noble actually has its perks because, for once, people are actually listening to his gym rat physics. They aim their fire toward the tree line and let loose, and the forest immediately screams back. A massive volley of return fire confirms the trap was very real, and as the smoke clears, a gargantuan troll emerges from the shadows, looking like it's ready to cancel everyone's subscription to life. Before the forest turns into a full-blown chaotic barbecue, our boy takes a quick trip down memory lane to the moment he was doing his homework on the enemy. He's sitting with his mercenary buddies, the one with the eye patch and the blonde one who clearly thinks our boy is the main character of a romance novel. The eye patch leader explains that they aren't just facing random bandits. They're up against the bullhead mercenaries, a group so expensive they make the Alvin units look like bargain bin recruits. These guys are famous for their enraged bull tactics, charging straight into the center of an army to snap their defensive lines like a dry twig. Our boy's modern military brain immediately flags this as a classic fantasy version of a World War II blitzkrieg, realizing these guys are the elite special forces of the mercenary world. The news gets even worse when the leader mentions a rumor that these bulls actually command a Minotaur. This isn't just some overgrown cow, it's a legendary hero slayer with a massive body, overwhelming strength, and an IQ high enough to actually use a map. Our boy is internally sweating bullets at the thought of a monster that could probably bench press a castle, but his mercenary friends are surprisingly loyal. The blonde one is practically blushing while promising to risk his life to help our boy retreat, while the leader pragmatically adds that they'll only collect their paycheck if they actually survive the experience. Our boy just gives them a knowing smile, already planning to use their help for something much more tactical than a simple getaway. Back in the present, the bad guys hiding in the bushes are having a total how-did-he-know moment. They're watching our boy's unit change into a defensive formation and are starting to realize their perfect ambush has been compromised by human GPS. But before they can even finish complaining, a literal rain of arrows comes flying through the leaves, deleting their scouts from the map before they can even scream for help. The bullhead commander realizes the gig is up and orders a full-blown charge, screaming for his men to break the Marcel line. The battlefield immediately turns into a heavy metal concert. Our boy's unit isn't just standing there. The dwarves are letting the cannons rip, sending shells flying toward the charging mercenaries to soften them up. Our boy watches the collision course and realizes that even with all his preparation, they're still headed for a high-speed frontal crash. He doesn't wait for a committee meeting, he tells the bearded captain to brace for impact, while he decides to pull a main character move and charge the entire formation by himself. The captain tries to tell him that going solo is a great way to end his life subscription, but our boy is already a blur of horse and steel. He gallops straight into the mercenary front line, weaving through their ranks and knocking soldiers aside like he's playing a very violent game of bowling. One of the bullhead leaders realizes our boy is trying to disrupt their breakthrough formation and screams for his men to hold the line. But the chaos is already set in motion. The dwarves and the bullheads finally collide with the sound of 1,000 car crashes. The mercenaries are strong enough to actually push back a wall of angry dwarves, and for a second, it looks like the formation is going to buckle. One bullheaded warrior is busy bragging about honor while he swings his weapon, but the bearded captain arrives just in time to shut him up permanently. The captain isn't just a regular soldier. He lets out a roar, and his weapon literally ignites with magical fire, turning him into a one-man inferno. Seeing the captain turn the side of the battlefield into a flaming, do-not-enter zone gives our boy the breathing room he needs. He looks ahead, eyes locked on the prize, and prepares to go head-to-head with the legendary Minotaur itself. Still a blur of horse and steel, our boy charges solo right into the gaping maw of the mercenary formation. The bullhead frontline spots the lone knight rocketing toward them and immediately assumes he is an idiot deeply intoxicated by his own hero fantasies. A squad leader, eager for a quick promotion, begs his massive Minotaur commander, Lord Numeros, for permission to turn the arrogant knight into modern art. Numeros gives the green light, but before the squad leader can even finish bragging to his men, our boy arrives and casually uninstalls the entire 10-man squad from the battlefield without blinking. The rest of the mercenaries watch their frontline get instantly folded and start recalculating their life choices. Unbothered by the chaos, our boy halts his horse right in front of the towering Minotaur. He flashes a cheerful smile, marveling that real Minotaurs actually exist outside of Katana Trading Company rumors, and politely asks if the giant is the captain. The Minotaur responds by demanding he get off the horse. This is not out of respect, but because the giant plans to chop our boy into confetti and does not want the collateral damage ruining a perfectly good equine specimen. The mercenary peanut gallery chimes in, calling dibs on our boy's boots and arms like it is a clearance sale. Taking the thread in stride, our boy hops down, agreeing that he wants to keep the horse safe since it is named after his brother. He then smoothly informs the Minotaur that his victory prize will be a fresh batch of tail stew, casually roasting the giant by calling him a premium beef gift set. The Minotaur's brain practically buffers at the insult, mostly because modern holiday gift terminology does not exist in this fantasy setting. Deciding to let his weapons do the talking, the Minotaur charges. Our boy expertly dodges the first massive swing by leaping back, immediately realizing the reach difference is an absolute nightmare. He does the mental math and concludes that even a grazing hit will permanently separate his upper body from his legs, briefly regretting not bringing better defensive gear. The giant barks at him to stop dodging and fight like a proper knight. Happy to oblige, our boy dodges the next swing by sliding directly between the Minotaur's massive tree trunk legs. Spotting the ultimate blind spot, he channels all his capitalistic rage and delivers a devastating, catastrophic strike directly into the giant's family jewels from behind. The entire mercenary army collectively sweats bullets as they witness the biological tragedy. The Minotaur crashes to his knees, drooling and trembling in a state of sheer, eye-watering agony. Standing comfortably behind the incapacitated boss, our boy raises his weapon, deciding it is time to permanently clock the giant out of his shift. Meanwhile, the secondary battlefield is descending into pure chaos. The dwarves are rallying to shatter the mercenaries' iron horns and overwhelm the ox-headed freaks with raw strength. But the real problem for the mercenaries is the Galanto Monastery Holy Knights. These supposedly pious warriors just chugged berserker potions, asked God for forgiveness, and fully committed to hyperviolence. The mercenaries watch in horror as the Holy Knights completely lose their minds and start violently crushing the front line. One brave mercenary leaps through the air to smash a drugged-up knight, but the lady captain intercepts in mid-flight. She ruthlessly saves her brother-in-arms while screaming unhinged hints about fresh blood being holy water, proving that her brand of religion is exclusively trauma-based. The bullhead mercenaries start getting aggressively pushed back. Their captain screams at them to hold the line, promising that Lord Numeros will flatten the lone knight and return to save them. Unfortunately for his morale speech, Lord Numeros is currently a trembling, defeated mess in the dirt. Standing over the broken giant, our boy politely asks for any famous last words. The peanut gallery is dead silent. Trembling in terror, the Minotaur begs for his life, but our boy reminds him that the tail stew is non-negotiable. In a desperate bid for survival, the giant confesses that he is actually only a half-Minotaur. He insists he is neither as strong nor as smart as a pureblood, meaning killing him will yield absolutely zero honor or knightly achievements. Unfazed by fantasy honor metrics, our boy sighs, making it very clear he could not care less about heroic achievements. Instead of finishing the job, our boy points his weapon at a random mercenary nearby and orders him to run ahead and tell the vanguard their boss just got humbled. The terrified grunt instantly agrees. Realizing they are completely doomed, the half-Minotaur braces for the end. But our boy simply rebrands him as a living bone broth ingredient, explaining that he needs the giant alive to serve as a star witness. Back at the main clash, the mercenary captain is still screaming at his men to hold out for Lord Numeros. His hope is entirely shattered by the sudden sound of a horn echoing across the valley. He freezes, realizing with absolute dread that his invincible boss just lost a solo fight against a random knight. The dwarf team leader mercilessly rubs salt in the wound, pointing out that their commander just got wrecked, and happily orders his own bugler to sound their very first victory call. The scene shifts to the Katana Trading Company's Marseille branch, where the branch manager arrives with excellent news for the city magistrate. The suppression force has secured its first win. The magistrate smiles, naturally assuming the elite elf knights of Bathroom carried the team. The manager completely derails his mood by revealing they have actually lost all contact with the elf knights. When the magistrate protests that elves would never lose to mere bandits, she drops a document on his desk. She explains that, exactly as our boy predicted, they were never bandits, but a disguised mercenary group sponsored by Baron Aimbach. The document is a fully signed confession from the bullhead mercenaries themselves. Reading the paperwork, the magistrate's brain short-circuits. He realizes that getting this confession means the legendary captain of the 100, the Minotaur, had to be captured alive. He stammers, demanding to know who in the world could possibly pull off something so absurd. The branch manager just smiles knowingly, fully aware of exactly who is responsible. And right on cue, the story cuts back to our boy, standing victorious over a small mountain of defeated mercenaries, ready to cash in his next paycheck. Quick pause. If you're enjoying the story so far, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps to make it worth to bring next parts. Done? Awesome, let's get back to it. The dust has barely settled when our boy is swarmed by his newly minted fan club. His little buddy, Gohan, is practically vibrating with excitement, cheering his name loud enough to wake the dead. Our boy affectionately pats the kid on the head, telling him to calm down. His human GPS, Cohen, immediately chimes in, insisting our boy sit down and rest after pulling off a stunt like that. Cohen enthusiastically recounts how our boy swung his mace a single time, creating a literal wind burst that wiped out 50 men in one strike. Playing the part of the reluctant hero, our boy gracefully laughs it off, waving his hands and insisting Cohen is exaggerating. He warmly suggests they share the credit with the other warriors, while internally screaming for Cohen to praise him louder so the magistrate can hear about his glowing performance review. Right on cue, the dwarf captain, Kumel, steps up to join the hype train. He completely shuts down our boy's fake humility, declaring that the Red Iron mercenaries are absolutely buzzing. Kimmel insists that watching our boy charge headfirst into the enemy frontline set all their dwarven hearts on fire, calling him a shining example of pure valor. Our boy accepts the flattery with a practiced, bashful smile, mentally calculating how many favorability points he just scored with upper management. Before the praise circle can escalate further, the Holy Sisters arrive to add their own 5-star reviews. Sister Janina and the priestess offer their divine blessings, admitting that without our boy's brilliant tactics, they would have walked blindly into a fatal ambush. But beyond his battlefield IQ, the girls are deeply moved by his immaculate character. They are entirely starstruck that he actually spared the enemy commander. Our boy awkwardly tries to clarify that the Minotaur was honestly a bit of a pushover, and he only kept him alive because he needed a star witness. The Holy Sisters completely ignore this practical explanation. In their eyes, anyone with that much overwhelming combat power who still chooses to respect an enemy's life is a walking, breathing saint. They conclude that a normal, glory-hungry knight would have decapitated the half-Minotaur for the achievement points without a second thought. Our boy cringes slightly, realizing his totally selfish actions are turning him into a religious icon. Kumel nods in deep respect, agreeing that true humility is a rare and beautiful thing, before hyping everyone up to go smash the rest of the mercenaries. Their victory lap is brutally interrupted by a frantic shout. One of the arrogant elf knights comes sprinting toward the group, looking absolutely terrified and completely out of breath. Kumel narrows his eyes, noting that the elf's panicked face definitely does not scream good news. Gasping for air, the messenger begs for immediate reinforcements, revealing they have just been ambushed by a troll. We jump back 2 moments earlier to see exactly how the high and mighty elves ended up in this mess. The elf squad is casually strolling through the woods, effortlessly slaughtering fleeing, low-level mercenaries. They are complaining loudly about how boring and anticlimactic the whole assignment is. The only reason they are even out here doing this dirty work is because they defaulted on heavy loans to the local trading companies, and Count Bartle forced them to work off their debt. Annoyed by their financial ruin, the elf captain orders his men to annihilate the runners and aggressively strip them of all their valuables to make up the deficit, throwing in a quick threat to punish anyone who secretly pockets the loot. They wander into a creepy, overgrown field, briefly pausing to admit the atmosphere is making their skin crawl. Suddenly, they hear rustling. One of their own scouts stumbles out of the brush, drenched in his own blood and begging for his life. Before the captain can even ask what happened, a massive, horrifying troll bursts from the shadows and instantly deletes the wounded scout from existence. The elf captain's arrogant smirk is violently replaced by a cold, desperate sweat. Snapping back to the present, the frantic messenger explains the entire trap. The bandits vanished, and the troll descended on them like a nightmare. He points out that there was absolutely no mention of a giant boss monster in Baron Aimbach's leaked documents, begging the group to save the 3 knights of Count Bartle. Kumel asks the room for their opinions. The priestess gently deflects, stating their religious creed forbids turning a blind eye to suffering, but ultimately leaves the final call to the dwarf captain. Needing a quick lore drop, our boy turns to Sister Janina and asks for the troll's official stat sheet. Janina delivers a grim reality check. She admits she has fought one before, but strictly with divine intervention. Without the gods involved, human beings stand absolutely zero chance. She explains that a troll's hide is tougher than solid rock, its muscles are woven like steel cables, and its monstrous strength is completely overwhelming. But the real horror is its regeneration. We see a brief flash of the elf captain back in the woods, desperately landing hits on the beast, only to watch his attacks heal over instantly as if nothing happened. The captain is having a full-blown panic attack while his squad screams at him to move. Taking in the horrifying stats, our boy leans in and subtly whispers something private to Janina. The messenger interrupts, screaming that they are completely out of time. Our boy turns back to Janina and asks if they should attempt a rescue. Janina politely states that she will follow Kimmel's orders, but adds a heavy dose of realism. Even if they sprint at top speed, the elves will likely have already entered their eternal rest. Hearing this, Kumel officially denies the request. He apologizes to the terrified messenger, explaining that their own mission is not over, and throwing more lives away on a doomed rescue is a terrible tactical choice. Refusing to let this opportunity slide, our boy dramatically interrupts the captain. He points out that with so many capable warriors holding down the fort, it wouldn't be a problem if he personally stepped away to form a rescue party. Kumel is shocked, warning him that rushing in now is meaningless and practically suicidal. Activating his best Oscar-worthy performance, our boy looks Kumel dead in the eye and asks what happens if they are still alive. He declares, with absolute conviction, that he simply cannot stand by and watch them die. The Holy Sisters practically melt on the spot. Tears well up in their blushing faces as they stare at our boy, completely overwhelmed by his majestic, self-sacrificing nobility. Even Kumel is deeply moved by this supreme display of character. He finally caves, agreeing to organize a rescue party for the shining beacon of virtue that is Sir Johann. Cohen watches the whole exchange, blushing in pure awe of his hero. Cohen, however, just stands there in absolute silence, completely immune to the performance. He knows exactly how our boy's brain works. Internally, our boy's capitalist engine is redlining. He knows the Elf Knights are backed by Count Bartle, which means they belong to a very high tax bracket. He figures if they hurry, they can pull off a rescue, and once those arrogant wealthy elves are safe, he is going to squeeze an astronomically huge payout out of their ungrateful pockets. Pure, unadulterated capitalism at its finest. Thanks for sticking around until the end. If you enjoyed this recap, drop a like and let me know your favorite moment in the comments. I'll see you in the next video for more madness. Peace.